And we are live. How's everybody doing tonight? My name is Anthony Brian Logan, and you're watching and/or listening to ABL Live. Thank you for joining me tonight. You could be almost anywhere in the world, but you're right here with me live in the show, and I appreciate y'all for that. We got a whole lot going on, a whole lot of good topics, a lot of spicy stuff coming up here in the show. Shout out to Ron DeSantis for telling some kids at a college event that the masks aren't necessary, they aren't needed. And shout out to those kids' parents for having a little something to say back to DeSantis for some reason. We'll talk about that in a minute. Also, shout out to all these ridiculous kids at a college, another college, a different college, freaking out against a conservative speaker by the name of Jeff Younger. We'll talk about Jeff Younger and the college kids in a minute. Also, Lindsey Graham, crazy as crazy could be, talking about somebody should kill Vladimir Putin. But you gonna do it? I mean, do you want to have World War III or what? Do you want to continue the proxy war that's happening right now? Do you want to amp it up? What's the reason? We'll talk about all of that in a minute. Also, we got to talk about this Congolese refugee in Ukraine who's like, look, man, I'm not trying to fight for Ukraine. I'm trying to go back to Congo. We'll talk about that in a minute. Also, the FDA releasing 55,000 pages of data as it relates to the Pfizer vaccine trials. We'll talk about all those things and more on tonight's episode of ABL Live. And thank y'all again for being here. Definitely appreciate you guys. If you enjoyed what you have heard thus far, if you enjoyed the stream in general, please give this video a thumbs up. Like the video, share the video, do all that good stuff. And we're going to get into it. We got quite a few topics, a lot of controversial stuff. Thank y'all for being here yet again. If you don't know, I got a few sponsors. I'm going to talk about those straight from the beginning. Shout out to me. Shout out to ABLmerch.com. You already know what time it is. You get hats, t-shirts, stickers, hoodies, mugs, and more. We got a lot more stuff coming up here pretty soon. I am going to restock. I promise I'm going to restock some really good stuff. ABLmerch.com. And thank you to everybody who has reached out to me to help me with the site, to be a manager of the website and produce some products. I've read a lot of your emails. I'll make a decision here pretty soon. So thank you all for doing that. Also, go to AnthonyBLogan.com. That is ANTHONY, the letter B, LOGAN.com. You can find my email, my snail mail, all that good stuff right there on the website. And for every article, for every video, I write an article. It might be a short article, it might be a long article, but regardless of what, I always have my sources in the description section of the article. So whenever you have a question like, hey, where'd you get that fact from? Where'd you get this statement from in the video? Look no further than the website, AnthonyBLogan.com, to find your answers in my source list. Also, shout out to PatriotPost.us, the best source of news and information anywhere on the internet. Check them out through the description box below. You won't regret it. Tell them I sent you. Also, go to BHEDesigns.com. That is BHEDESIGNS.com to get these beautiful handmade wooden flags that are right behind me, right here in America. You can get ones just like those or whatever you want, whatever your heart's desire. Go to the website, talk to them in the email, and figure something out. Again, BHEDesigns.com. We got a whole lot going on. I'm going to get to that, Apu. He asked me about Eli Mistel. I've seen him before. I'll talk about them in a minute. So where do I want to begin? I think I'm gonna start with Lindsey Graham. I'm gonna just jump straight out the window and talk about Lindsey Graham. Now, you guys may or may not have seen my video where I talked about Lindsey Graham saying that we should, or not that we should, pardon me, I gotta say it correctly here. Lindsey Graham said that somebody should be a Brutus in Russia. Somebody should go ahead and take out Vladimir Putin. Now, I don't know about y'all, but that's got to be very irresponsible. That's probably the most irresponsible thing that I've heard in a long time. Because check it out. If you kill Vladimir Putin, you understand the kind of the carnage, like what happened as a result of that. Remember, Gavrilo Princip. A lot of you guys, you history buffs, you know, Gavrilo Princip, he's the guy that killed the Archduke Ferdinand, and that sparked World War I. Now, of course, there was already problems going on in the Balkans and whatnot at that time, of course. Everybody knows that. However, that action right there, that just sent it into overdrive. That just sent it millions of deaths later. Was that worth it? I'm not really sure. I don't think that it was necessarily, and I don't think that killing Vladimir Putin would do anything. Now, some say that some say that Lindsey Graham was right, that you got to kill Vladimir Putin. But let me ask you a question. To anyone who thinks that'll work, what would killing one person do? I mean, as far as stopping any kind of aggression. Because in order to understand the whole thing that Lindsey Graham said, and let me find that right quick before we get into it. Matter of fact, I have more video that you may have seen or may not have seen in the video that I play. But what would killing Vladimir Putin do to stop what's happening in Ukraine? What would that do to prevent the things that led up to the Ukraine situation? Matter of fact, hold on. Let's put this up on the screen right quick. Can we get this? There we go. So here's the initial video. Shout out to Ian Miles Chong for posting it or reposting it from Aaron Rupar. And this is your man, Lindsey Graham on Fox, just outright saying, I guess you would say the quiet part out loud. Okay. That's definitely a linchpin moment, Blessed Veteran Adventures. Yes, correct.
How does this end? Somebody in Russia has to step up to the plate. Is there Brutus in Russia? Is there a more successful Colonel Stauffenberg in the Russian military? The only way this ends, my friend, is for somebody in Russia to take this guy out. You would be doing your country a great service and the world a great service.
You think that's correct? You think that killing Vladimir Putin would end it, like that'd be over? Like, there's nobody in Russia that feels the same way Vladimir Putin does. There's nobody in government who feels the same way Vladimir Putin does. All right, if it's like that, why don't you go ahead and ice Xi Jinping? What if you ice Xi Jinping? What'd happen to you? Huh? Think about that for a minute. You're going to kill a head of state? I mean, you got to be the dumbest. You got to be dumb as a box of rocks. This reminds me of The Wire. I think somebody said it, but if you ever seen The Wire, it's kind of a loose comparison, but I'll make it just to drive the point home. Do you understand what happened? Hold on. Let's go back to The Wire. Now, in The Wire, you got the drug dealers, right? You got these guys running the drug business. One guy is still in the streets. He's still, just out there kind of thugging, right? That's Avon. His partner, Stringer, is trying to be the businessman, trying to be out there shaking hands with the mayor and this contractor, this developer over here, trying to put on the suit, trying to become a legitimate person. But he doesn't understand that the political world is more cutthroat than the streets. But the problem is you can't just do whatever you want to do in the political world. You can't just go kill somebody like you can in the streets. That's not how it works. You want to kill somebody in the political world, I mean, the wrath that's going to be on you is immeasurable, okay? So Stringer Bell made a deal with the mayor, Clay Davis, or the senator or somebody. I think it might have been the state senator. He made a deal with him, and of course he got robbed because, again, the suit and tie guys are worse in the streets. So he gets robbed, he realizes it, and he says, hey, Avon, I want to kill Clay Davis. It's like, man, you want to kill him? A state senator? We're dealing with drug dealers right here. We're dealing with basic street. You want to go there and kill him? Are you stupid? The federales would be up. The whole world would send up and take notice if you kill Vladimir Putin. This ain't like Nicaragua or some little podunk Libya. This ain't that. You can't just go in there and kill him and be like, okay, we'll take it over now and make it be a parking lot or a gas pipeline. Russia, are you dumb? It wouldn't just be Vladimir Putin you got to deal with. You got to deal with the whole country and the government. Some say, well, the Russians don't want this war. But who is the Russians? The whole country? I don't think that's the case. I think that it's not even about necessarily Russians wanting the war. It's about the war having to happen. Let's talk about what's happening here in this next clip, and then I'm going to get a little bit deeper into it. I'm going to get a little bit deeper into it after you see this clip right here.
Your fight is our fight.
And by the way, this is from December 2016, and you have Lindsey Graham talking to Ukrainians in Ukraine, along with another famous neocon and John McCain. Okay, yeah, this ain't no Gaddafi. This ain't even Saddam Hussein. This ain't even that. This is a whole different, you're talking about like a top world power.
Your fight is our fight.
Ваша боротьба – це наша боротьба.
2017 will be the year of offense.
Рік 2017 рік буде ріком нападу.
All of us will go back to Washington and we will push the case against Russia.
Ми всі повернемося до Вашингтону і ми будемо відстоювати санкції проти Росії.
Enough of a Russian aggression.
Досить вже російської агресії.
It is time for them to pay a heavier price.
Час вже щоб вони заплатили важчу ціну.
I believe you will win. I am convinced you will win, and we will do everything we can to provide you with what you need to win.
So you got John McCain and Lindsey Graham in Ukraine in 2016 trying to spark the proxy war because understand what's going on. In Russia, well, in Ukraine, what's happening is there's a proxy war between NATO and Russia. NATO was trying to fight Russia and the U.S. to a certain extent because we're in NATO. We want to fight Russia, but not directly. So we're going to use Ukraine as a battleground. They'll be cannon fodder and they'll die and they'll have their country destroyed to a certain extent, all because he wanted to fight Russia and try to deplete their forces, make them spend money and destabilize their nation and make Vladimir Putin look bad. It's a whole big thing. It's a proxy war against Russia from NATO. That's all. That's exactly why Putin is there, because he doesn't want to have NATO do what they're doing right now. You see, if NATO were actually in Ukraine, then they could just set up missiles right there on the border in the far eastern part of the country and just straight bomb Moscow from right there. You know, they can have the Baltics, which they already got. They got the Black Sea cut off because they got Turkey in NATO, but not in the EU for some reason. But anyway, then they're going to have Ukraine. So you got the Black Sea, the Baltic Sea, and the whole Europe that attack Russia. So regardless of what's going on, this had to happen. We over there spending money in Ukraine, arming them, pumping them up, supporting the coup president, giving them billions of dollars. That'd be the equivalent of Russia funding Mexico, giving them a bunch of weapons and all kind of stuff to try to fight against us right here. Or to make it more simple, the Bay of Pigs in Cuba, have the missiles right there in Cuba pointed right at us, right at Miami, Florida. But having a whole country of 45 million people in the big piece of real estate and waterways, a river and everything, and the whole sea pointed at Russia. I mean, so it was going to happen. Something was going to happen. Either Russia was going to invade Ukraine or NATO would invade Ukraine, if that makes any sense. They wouldn't invade Ukraine with weapons, meaning they would just come and take them as a territory. NATO would. NATO would come and take Ukraine, or Russia would come and take Ukraine. Regardless, Ukraine was being set up for this battleground, this proxy war battleground. So when you say, hey, man, you know what? If you kill Vladimir Putin, it'll be over with. How? The seeds of this war have been planted for years. For years. It has made it to right now where it's a crescendo. There's a moment where now we got to do something. Now we got to fight. Either we strike first or they're going to strike, meaning NATO. Now you have NATO fighting Russia. The only reason why NATO is not able to fly planes straight into Russia is because they're not right there. They don't have the advantage. They can't really go into Ukraine. Now they're trying to send mercenaries. That's a bad idea. All they're going to do is die. You know what I mean? You got Americans going to Ukraine, fighting for Ukraine for what? Why? I don't understand. That's not going to be a winning battle. Okay, that's not going to be a winning battle. All it's doing right now is hurting Russian citizens and Ukrainian citizens and global citizens because of the gas prices and things of that nature. So the dumbest thing in the world would be to kill Vladimir Putin. And for Lindsey Graham to say that just lets me know that he's a big time rhino and always has been. That's all. It ain't nothing else really to it. People can say whatever they want to say, but I know a rhino when I see one. Same thing with John McCain, Mitt Romney, all of them, Nikki Haley, all of them, Council on Foreign Relations, all these people. They just want war for whatever the purpose is, for power, for money, for a board position at Raytheon. That's all. That's all it is to it. And that's part of the reason why we love Trump so much, is because he was not that kind of person to go out there and poke the bear. He was not the kind of guy that would start things with people. He was trying to be diplomatic. And remember, Trump was friendly with Vladimir Putin, friendly with Xi Jinping to a certain extent, friendly with Kim Jong-un. And what did they say? Oh, man, you want to be friendly with these people. You're a traitor to America. A traitor? Why would he be a traitor to America when he wants to have diplomacy and good foreign relations? So does being a traitor to America, does being a good patriot mean you go and bomb people for no reason? You go and kill innocent Ukrainians and Russians and Azerbaijanis and Afghans and Syrians and everybody else, Libyans? Is that what that means? You go bomb Yemen and Somalia? Come on, man. We got to stop this. We got to stop this nonsense right now. And this whole Syria, pardon me, might as well be the same thing. This whole Ukraine thing is an extension of all that deep state, neocon, ridiculous BS that's going on. Hillary Clinton, too. And a lot of the Democratic Party, they ain't with it. They don't really care because they want to fight Russia. They want to fight Russia so bad, they'll go and make Ukraine be a third world type place just to attack Russia. It's crazy. Okay. Now, somebody says Russia already has 3 NATO countries on their border. Yeah, but those countries, they're not going to have the same amount of, they can kind of control that. They can kind of, because you're talking about Latvia, Estonia, not Belarus, Latvia, Estonia, Lithuania, but they kind of cornered, so that's not really going to be as much of a problem as Ukraine. Okay, because Russia still has access to the Black Sea through St. Petersburg and through Kaliningrad, which is right below, I think, Lithuania and right above Poland and Germany. But if they cut off the Black Sea, that's why they took Crimea, because they need the Black Sea. They can't get to it from like the Caucasus because it's too much of a mountainous area. They need that Black Sea because if they don't have Ukraine with Black Sea, they're going to be cut off with Ukraine and Turkey because they're both NATO countries. So from that area, they'd be totally defenseless. But they got a little bit of defense when you're talking about the Baltic Sea because they have access to it. Okay. Yeah, so that's really what it is. And it's been going on for a long time. And then my question would be, if Ukraine was so unimportant, then why would the U.S. and NATO be in there funding the Q government, giving them billions of dollars, giving them weapons before all this stuff happened? Over the past few years, why would they do that? What would be the purpose? Huh? And why isn't Ukraine already in the EU or NATO? Why? It's because they want this to happen. They want it to be a proxy war battleground to fight Russia rather than fighting Russia directly. Rather than having NATO planes fight Russia head on, NATO will fund Ukraine so Ukrainians could go die up against Russia to try and hurt Russia in some kind of way. That's all that's going on. That's it. That's nothing else. It's so simple. Which is why it was dumb for Lindsey Graham to say, let's go kill Vladimir Putin, or somebody should do it in the country. So silly. But again, it's not necessarily dumb if that's your goal to begin with, to start a war with Russia vis-a-vis a different country. Okay, it's a proxy war to the definition, right on the money. Okay, so this whole Ukraine thing shouldn't even be happening at all because Ukraine cannot win this. It's not going to happen. People talking about all the Ukrainians, they got spirit, they got heart. I'm sure they do. Shout out to all the Ukrainian citizens out there defending your country. But see, the truth is that this is a war that's been provoked by outside forces that aren't necessarily just Russia. Russia, I'm not going to say is some kind of great place or whatever. I'm not going to say that. But this is not just them saying, oh, we got to just fight Ukraine because, oh, they got a nice beach in the Black Sea. It's not even about that. It's about geopolitical things that go way beyond Ukraine. It goes way beyond their borders. It goes all the way across seas. It's about money markets and oil, and China is involved. All kind of things are happening here. So that's all. That is it. Oh, and China's looking at this too. China's looking at it like, okay, NATO ain't going to help out with Ukraine. So how about we take Taiwan? See, there's a whole lot of stuff going on here. This is why when you have, geopolitical situations, you got to make sure that you're making the correct move, because one false move could set off a domino effect that has a bunch of other negative consequences. That's all. Sano says a senator in the U.S. calling for killing a country's leader is declaring war. Exactly. I mean, imagine if Vladimir Putin said, yo, we got to kill Joe Biden. It's like, what? You can't say that. Even if he suggested that somebody in America should do it, it doesn't matter. That's still the same thing in the eyes of the United States. I don't see how that would be any different. Okay, all these rules of war, rules of engagement, don't nobody follow that. You know, these people in NATO, they don't really follow that too much. But I digress. Now, speaking about Ukraine, here's the spicy topic of the day. Very controversial, very spicy. Talking about the guy that is a Congolese refugee in Ukraine. Now, what the story was that he was trying to leave Ukraine. He was trying to get on a train with a bunch of other refugees from all over the world and Ukrainians. He was trying to leave Ukraine. But then they said, okay, well, this train is only for women and children. Meanwhile, there was other men on the train, Ukrainian men, right? I don't want to say white men because that's kind of oversimplifying it. It's not really about black and white, in my opinion. The refugee may think it's about black and white, and that may be how it looks, but I think it's more about Ukrainian versus non-Ukrainian. But anyway, he saw Ukrainian men get on the bus or the train. Now, I'm not sure why they were there, but if the guards say it's only about women and children that can go on this train, and you see men on there, what's going on? But anyway, so he gets on the train and he's trying to evacuate with all the other refugees. They say you can't go, women and children, and well, you can't fight for us though. You want a rifle? Go out and fight. He's like, nah, I don't want to do that because they're going to kill me first. I'm not Ukrainian. I'm clearly black. You can see me. So I'm going to stand out like a sore thumb. That's like I said, it's like the South Park episode about Operation, what was it? Operation something. I forgot. Y'all know what I'm talking about. I'm going to find that right quick. I might play it. I might be able to get away playing it right now. Operation Human Shield. That's right. So I'll play some of the audio. I ain't gonna play the video, but you'll be able to kind of see you'll be able to understand what's going on. All right, so let's play some of the audio from that particular clip, and you'll be able to get what's happening from this clip, and then I'll go back to the guy talking about Ukraine and whatnot.
Our sources have told us that the Canadians are preparing for our invasion, so we must use caution. Each battalion has a specific code name and mission. Battalion 5, raise your hands.
Okay, so I'll just reveal it right quick. So Battalion 5, so if you can't see the screen, what's happening here is you have a wall full of soldiers. Now, on the bottom left, I said the bottom, maybe like the bottom left is like 1/4 of the total infantry. They're all black, right? All dark skinned black. So they all raised their hand. Nobody else raised their hand. All the rest of the white troops didn't raise their hand. So let me go back so I won't get a strike.
You will be the all-important first attack wave, which we will call Operation Human Shield. Hey, wait a minute.
So hold on. So he's like, wait a minute, I got a question. Hold on. Wait, Human Shield. Wait just a minute. I don't know if I really want that too much.
First attack wave, which we will call Operation Human Shield. Hey, wait a minute. Now keep in mind, Operation Human Shield will suffer heavy losses. Battalion 14.
So then the other battalion, they raised their hand, and that's the all white troop, right? Now, as I say this is not offensive. It's just, to me, it's funny. It's comedy. If anybody's offended, don't be. It's not really that deep. But I'm just driving the point home here.
Right. You are Operation Get Behind the Darkies. You will follow Battalion 5 here. And
so hold on. Let me play that right there.
Right. You are Operation Get Behind the Darkies. You will follow Battalion 5.
So you see what's going on? It's like, okay, you got the black soldiers in front. They getting shot right away. And then the white troop are right behind them because they were the Human Shield, right?
I'm here. And try not to get killed, for God's sake. Are there any questions, men? Yes, soldier.
Have you ever heard of the Emancipation Proclamation?
I don't listen to hip-hop.
So basically, the guy in Ukraine, not Uganda, pardon me, the Congolese refugee, he was like, if I go out there and try to fight, they're going to kill me first because they see I'm not Ukrainian. They be like, what, you from NATO? Are you a mercenary? Man, you going to die right now. Instantly. You stand like a sore thumb. You're not Ukrainian. And there's an order in the country that says if you're between the ages of 18 and 60 as a male, you can't leave the country. But I presume that applies to Ukrainian citizens. I don't believe that if you're there as a refugee or you're on a work visa or you're a student that you're required to stay and fight. I'm not sure that's how that works in Ukraine, but maybe I'm wrong. But regardless, he's like, look, I don't want to stay and die right away. I'm going to get shot first. Okay. Now, some say he's a coward. Maybe so. But see, the thing about it is, if he's a coward for running away from a conflict, aren't all refugees cowards then? Because understand this, he ran away from the conflict in Congo, just like others did. Okay. Just like in Afghanistan, it was the same thing. They ran away from the Taliban. Remember the guy that got on the airplane and tried to leave and fell to his death? Is he a coward too? Any refugee has got to be a coward by that standard. If you leave Congo because there's conflict going on, you go to Ukraine, you're there for 9 years, and all of a sudden you wake up one day and there's conflict going on here. Why would you stay in Ukraine if you didn't stay in Congo? If you were going to stay in Ukraine, you could have stayed in Congo. What's the difference? It's still conflict going on. You could die at any moment. You got shells coming in, the same as the violence going on in Congo. If you left one, why stay somewhere else? It's the same thing with anybody. If you're a refugee, like if you left during World War II, World War I, came to a different part of Europe, you went to America, and there's conflict going on here, why wouldn't you leave? Okay, you could stay and fight, but you could have stayed and fight in your country of origin. Why go to Ellis Island? Why go anywhere if it's like that? I don't know. I think that at a certain point, what he said made sense. What he said made sense, although some may feel upset that he was a refugee in Ukraine and they took him in and now he wants to leave, but left his home country too. If you leave in your home country during the conflict, you're not going to stay in your guest country when there's a conflict. The logic is not really there. I think people are kind of romanticizing Ukraine as some kind of place that's like sacred, but it's a country and they have people there. And if anybody innocent dies that's not trying to fight, I feel for them. And if anybody can't leave that doesn't really want to fight, I understand. You know, it is what it is. I totally do. You know, but if he's a coward, understand this. Anybody that leaves is a coward. Any refugee, any immigrant that flees, if you fled Italy, if you fled Germany, if you fled France, wherever any kind of battle was going on, you were a coward too. That means your grandmama was a coward, your granddaddy's a coward, everybody's a coward. If you ran away from the slave plantation, you were a coward too, right? Nah, stay and fight the plantation master. Nah, stay and fight. No. If you escape, you're a coward too, right? Maybe I'm going too far. But y'all let me know in the comments. But this is a really good topic, and I want to hear some calls tonight a little bit later about that. And I guarantee you, anybody that debates me, you're gonna lose. That's my challenge. Debate ABL and win challenge. What's the prize? Bragging rights. That's it. I don't got no money. I got $5 in my bank account. That's it. I'm on E. I have no money because I spent all my money on my gas bill this month. Side note, I'm kind of digressing a little bit, but here's a question to you guys. Do you guys have gas furnaces or water heater or anything like that? A gas stove? I have a gas furnace in my house and also a gas water heater. My bill went up like $100 from this time last year. $100. I saw my account. I'm like, wait a minute. I thought it was fraud on my account. I almost called the bank like, yo, I didn't do this. I did not do this. Who's stealing my gas out of my house? Is there a person siphoning my gas from my furnace? $100 more on my home heating bill. I ain't talking about pump gas in my car. I'm talking about my house, my furnace. It's crazy. And the electric going up too, because that's powered by fossil fuel. You know, I wanted all electric in my house, but I couldn't. I got a gas furnace and hot water heater, but I have an electric range. I wanted all electric, but that wasn't really possible where I live at. But $100 more on this month. I thought it was fraud. I was like, man, good grief. If I wasn't ready for that to come out of my account, man, you talking about I'll be out there with a cup, man. Hey man, can I get a dollar? Can I get can I get a dollar, please? And to be serious, like a lot of people are struggling because not everybody has enough money to be able to pay a big increase in bills like that. That's tremendous. $100 more year to year. That's crazy. And going to the pump, man, forget about it. I'm seeing some signs talking about $6 in California, $7. I heard about, wait a minute. Somebody said their monthly gas bill was $278. Good night. Good night. And you know what? I don't live in a very cold place. It's like 75 degrees right now as I'm talking. Right now, it's like 75. Okay, so I don't live in a cold place. This ain't like North Dakota or some Denver, Colorado up in the mountains. Not even like that. It doesn't even really snow here like that. Okay, it's been pretty much 70 degrees all week. It feels like Miami Beach on a cool day, you understand? Or like LA. So why is my gas bill so high? The gas is only for the heat. It's not for the AC really. When I have AC on, that goes outside to the electric unit, not to the furnace. It's crazy. Gas $3.95 in Michigan, $6.59 in Oregon, and it's going to go up. The gas are going to keep going up because they don't want to build out Keystone XL. That's a problem. If you don't want to build out Keystone XL, what you want to have is more expensive gas. And somebody tried to tell me, oh man, that doesn't really matter. Keystone XL doesn't matter. Producing gas domestically does not matter as far as what the gas price is. I'm like, are you dumb? You got to produce gas in order to utilize it. If you produce more at home, that'll drive down the cost because they say it's a global price. Even if it's all about global, you still have to have global markets producing. If you have fewer global markets producing, you're going to have a higher cost. So if we're not producing over here with Keystone XL, I mean, you're going to have a higher cost. If we're shutting down refineries and whatnot, you have a higher cost. Then you have the whole Ukraine kerfuffle. That's causing the problem with the gas. They don't want to take Russian gas, meaning some of the refineries, because there could be an oil embargo at any moment. So you don't want to take all the gas and then be stuck with it and you can't do nothing with it after you already bought it. So they're not really getting bids on the gas. That's causing the price to go up. You're not having Keystone XL and you're not having the Russian gas, which you need. Jen Psaki said we still import 10% of our gas from Russia. 10%. You know how much that is? That's a lot of gas from a so-called warring nation or so-called enemy. How are you going to put sanctions on Russia to try and deny them money, to deny them access to capital, while at the same time, we buy 10% of our gas from them? Tell me how that makes sense. We're funding both sides of the war. We're funding Russia through the gas money, and we're funding Ukraine through straight cash and arms and mercenaries. I mean, it's like we're kind of playing the game here. What are we really doing? It's so stupid. Somebody said $3.89 a gallon here in West Texas. It's ridiculous. I mean, the carpooling is going to be at an all-time high. Somebody said my electric bill jumped from 110 to over 200. Yep, I believe it. I believe it because how are we powering it? Like where I live, you got a hydroelectric, but you still have coal and whatnot to power these things. The wind turbine ain't going to get a whole grid. Not at all. Okay, it's nuts. Georgia Pete says I pay over $178 for my gas bill. It was $88 last year. Wow. So hold on. Unleaded gas in the Bay Area yesterday was $4.99 a gallon. Premium was $5.60 a gallon. How can you afford it? It's getting to the point where you charge, pardon me, where you fill up your tank, you probably, if you got a big vehicle, you got to stop at a certain point because it might cut off. I'm hearing that if you go over $100, it cuts off. Like you can't put more than that in your tank. So you got to fill twice and once just to get enough to go into your tank. It's unaffordable. You're paying like $50 maybe to fill up your tank, $40. Now it's $100. How can you afford that? In California, that's another example of why gas is not just a thing of it's not just a global thing, because California gas is the highest in the country by far. So why is the gas in California so high, but it's not as high in a place like Arizona, Nevada, Texas, New Mexico, neighboring states? It's because of the politics in California, all the taxes and whatnot that go into the gas. Meanwhile, you got these people that go into the Walgreens, steal whatever they want, loot and carry on, and it's no problem. They get out, no bail. It's all good. It's just really a whole big mess. And if you like what you heard so far in the video, please give the video a thumbs up, like the video, share the video, do all that good stuff. I got quite a few videos on deck for you guys. Let me see if I got some more here. Hold on. Oh, we got to talk about my main man, Jeff Younger. Now, Jeff Younger is running for office out there in Texas. And his whole thing is this whole trans issue dealing with children. Now, I was on Jubilee. It was 2 years ago now, actually. Almost 2 years to the day. I went to LA back in March 2020, right when this pandemic first popped. And I remember the whole scene in LAX when I was leaving. People were wearing like dish rags on their face, T-shirts, hoodies. They had hoodies like they pulled the bottom of their hoodie up over their mouth. Like that's going to help. It was crazy. It was pandemonium in the airport. Bandanas. It was like gang member bandanas on their face. And in the bathroom, I travel a little bit. I don't travel a whole lot, but I travel enough to see trends in airports. Usually when I go to the bathroom, I don't see a lot of guys at the hand washing station. Okay. The bathroom is lit up. The bathroom was full, but the hand washing station is generally pretty dry. But when I tell you, when I went to LAX, right when the virus first popped, the hand washing station was packed to everybody was washing their hands. I almost never see that. It's like, okay, it takes a whole scamdemic to scare you into washing your hands. See, that's the problem right there. Y'all wiping your hind parts and ain't washing your hands afterwards. And then you go touching on stuff, eating food. That's basic hygiene, but different story. I digress. The whole point was that I was there right when the scamdemic first popped in California, and I was there to film Jubilee. Now, there was a question about trans issues, about LGBT stuff. The question was, do you support gay rights? And my question back was, well, what are we talking about when we say gay rights? What does it actually mean? Because that's a pretty broad statement to say. Now, if you have an adult that's gay and they do whatever they do with a consenting adult, then who cares? That's their business, not mine. All right, that's just what it is. If that's your lifestyle, more power to you. However, when we're talking about kids, underage people, I don't think that a kid should be able to go transition. You can't get a tattoo. You can't drink a beer, but you can be a girl if you're born a boy. I think not. And that was my stance. And that was like somehow a shocking statement because it was a trans person right there and they were kind of offended, but it was like, that's the truth. And Zier was like, well, I knew when I was a young person. It's like, but should you be able to do that though? And the trans person's parents agreed with me, meaning they told the trans person, hey, when you get to be 18 and you're out of our house and you're an adult, do whatever you want, but you're not going to be that in here. And that's fine. Parents should have rules, right? You should be able to say as a parent, no, you can't do that, son or daughter, as long as you're under my roof. If you get to be 18 and you move out, you're an adult, got your own job, whatever, go do what you want to do. You want to be a skydiver with no parachute? Hey, good luck. Find a way to survive. That's all. But the point is that you shouldn't be allowed to, kids should not be allowed to become transgender. Why is that controversial? I think all of us here would agree with that. That's not really an LGBT issue. That's an issue of children's safety. Now, let me bring it on back home to my man, Jeff Younger. Now, Jeff Younger, I've covered him quite a bit on this channel. I've done quite a few videos going back to like 2019. If you guys been here for a while, you've probably seen some of the videos. Now, Jeff Younger was in a custody battle with his wife. It started back in 2019. It's still going on really to this day. His wife is a pediatrician, big brain, super genius, whatever. quote unquote really smart person. Now the battle was over their son. He's trying to get full custody, and she wanted full custody. Ultimately, I think she won full custody, but it was a bitter battle that still is kind of ongoing. And the key issue of the custody battle was the mother wanted the son to become transgender, but the father didn't. And the father said that when the boy would be over his house, just hanging out with him, spending time, the boy would naturally gravitate towards more boy things, playing with Tonka trucks and dressing as a boy. And he would go by his birth name, his boy name, right? But then when he go with his mother, he'd be more girly and putting on the girl clothes and going by the girl name his mom gave him, or that came about some kind of way. And the father said that he probably does that with his mom because if he doesn't do it, then his mom wouldn't love him. A heartbreaking thing, right? The boy was like 5 or 6 years old, a little boy being transgender. So ultimately he lost that battle, or at least he's lost it for right now. So as of right now, his little boy is identifying as transgender. So he went through all kind of, he been on TV. He tried to raise money, trying to get into court. He's tried everything in his power to get his son back. So his next effort is to become a lawmaker in Texas to outlaw all this. And I think there was something passed by Abbott to outlaw this whole thing. If a parent allows their kid to become transgender or makes them become trans, that is not to, have CPS intervene and take the kid away. Matter of fact, let me see if I can find that right quick. And they're talking about us anti-trans. How is it anti-trans to say that a child shouldn't become transgender? Why is that anti-trans? Let me see if I can find this right quick. I'm going to search Abbott anti-trans because that's what it's going to be. It's what they're going to say. Okay. MSNBC says, hold on, here's a headline for you. I'm going to put it on the screen. See, we're dealing with this kind of stuff right now in the world. All right, hold on 1 second here. It says Greg Abbott's death wish for trans kids is on full display. This is MSNBC. The new Texas policy is by far one of the worst anti-trans government actions we've seen in the U.S. Okay. So basically, the whole thing is trying to not have kids become transgender. That shouldn't really be controversial. But anyway, James Younger went to UNT Denton, which is in Texas, a university in Texas, to speak before their college Republicans. And of course, his speech got interrupted by a bunch of ridiculous blue-hair mafia members because he's anti-trans, he hates trans people, all this, that, and the third. And you're going to see exactly why this should be centered around mental health rather than around just letting these kids do whatever they want to do, and that's how they feel. How about let's get a mental health checkup and see where you are mentally rather than just saying, oh, you're totally fine and it ain't nothing wrong with you. So what you have right here, you heard a little scream in the beginning. This is a they, them. You understand? I'm not sure what their pronouns are. That's not really my business. But this person, I think, identifies as a male. Okay? Now, as I said, you got this Streets of Rage, double dragon hairstyle with some ridiculous mid-drift action going on. The muffin top, then way overflew the pan. It's not the wave, but let's hear what this person has to say. Let's hear their really cogent argument against Mr. Jeff Younger. Did you hear all that? I mean, this right here, something's wrong. Where, like, did your parents love you? All that anger coming out. I mean, this is like a combination of being on TikTok too much. Parents, I don't know what's going on, where they at, if they're loving or not, but something is just not clicking, okay? So that's my man right here, Jeff Younger, talking about Okay, ain't no such thing as a trans person. You're just a male or a female. That's it. You can identify with whatever, but at the end of the day, you're male or female. So, does this person appear to be okay? Or do they appear to be mentally well? Why would we just play into whatever they got going on? Something is wrong. I don't know what it is. I can't diagnose this person, but something's not right. If I see that in Walmart, I'm gonna go to the other aisle because I don't want to deal with that. Okay, I ain't trying to get bit or spit on. Something's not right. 17 years old, acting like that. But this kind of stuff went on for an hour at UNT Denton, which is a school like right close to Dallas, to north of Dallas. All right, and I think I have more video from that, but that's one of them right there. It was crazy. It was totally crazy, but at the same time, I can't say I'm surprised at this point because I've seen that kind of stuff so much. That's become commonplace now. It's not even really. I think a lot of it is just you got some mental problems, young kids trying to fit in, trying to be somebody. They feel like being trans or LGBT is a cool thing to do. It'll get them attention, all kind of stuff. That's kind of what it is to me. If they didn't get enough attention when they were coming up, or they felt like they didn't get it, then they go find another way to get that attention. I think that's what's going on. But y'all let me know what's happening. Okay, y'all let me know what's cracking in these streets. Why is that person like that? All right, hold on. Let me see if I can find another clip here. Oh, we have one more, and there could be some cursing going on. So if you got little kids, cover their ears up for a moment. Let's go ahead and watch this next clip from that particular event. And again, it should have been college Republicans, but I guess the left, they found out, they infiltrated because they wanted something to do. They might have been bored or whatever the case may be. And shout out to Art Taking Back for the video. Thank you, sir.
Free speech! All right, how about a name? Come on, give us your name. Come on.
So somebody has drawn a hammer and sickle on the dry erase board. Not a very good drawing. It's kind of like, when you see a white supremacist hoax and they draw the swastika and it's kind of janky, like one of the little legs is going the opposite direction. It's kind of like that. And then the person sitting right next to it has on the mask with the fists in the air. I mean, you're talking about bucking the system with a mask on. Make that make sense. Again, little kids wanting attention. But understand this, we're in college here. These are adults, allegedly, but I can't tell.
All right, how about a name? Come on, give us your name. Come on, have some courage. How about name for you? Fuck you. How about a name? Are you a woman or a man? I don't know what you are. Good for you. I'm trying to figure it out. Okay.
So what you have here is middle fingers going up, a bunch of screeching, just loud noise beating on the table. And one of the videos, they had like a little squeeze toy, like they're a dog. If they had a squeeze toy and they were playing with it and they identified as a dog, I wouldn't be surprised. If their name was Fido, if they changed their name from, I don't know, from Larry to Fido, I'm gonna be surprised. There goes our double dragon friend right there with the muffin top. It's just crazy. It's nonsense. So that's enough of that. I'll move right along. You get the picture. Now I'm gonna close that topic with this. Why would I pay money to go there? Any kind of college like that, for any young people out there, if you're going to college and that's going on and you see it a lot, that might not be the place for you. That might not be where you need to go. Go to a more conservative place. Now, I'm not saying you're not going to have anybody like that at your college because you're going to have a variety of people and personalities. I understand that. But if that's regular, that's like every day. And whatever class you go into, you get a bunch of nut jobs like that, you're in the wrong place. You need to go to a better college. And really, I'd rethink college in general. If you're not going to college for a specific purpose where you can really make money and you just going just to go, then you kind of wasting, you're wasting money. You're wasting money. You go on a party. Okay, great. You could party in your local town. You can move to the college town. Matter of fact, how about this? If you want to party so much, you can move to the college town, get a job right there, and still go to all the parties. I was going to college parties while not being at that particular college. So it's nothing. But I'll digress from that particular point. I ain't trying to go take a time machine back to, the old days. But thank you all for being here. Definitely appreciate you. If you like what you're hearing so far, go ahead and give the video a thumbs up. Like the video, share the video, do all that good stuff. Oh, and shout out to my main man, Ron DeSantis. All right. Shout out to Ron DeSantis. Now, Ron DeSantis did nothing wrong. You guys may have seen my video. Maybe you did, maybe you didn't. But what he did was he went to University of South Florida and he was getting ready to give a talk. And before he gave the talk, there were some kids lined up from the high school, because that might have been kind of confusing. He was at a college getting ready to speak, but the kids behind him came from a high school. They were brought to the college to be in the background of the speech. So, the kids all have on masks. So it's like, hey, you don't have to wear those masks. Matter of fact, let me see if I can find the video right quick so he can say it better than I can. You don't have to wear those masks. If you want to wear them, go ahead. Fine. But you don't have to. We got to get beyond this virus theater because it's ridiculous. And it is. It's totally ridiculous. What's the purpose? Like, remember that video? Hold on. I'm gonna find another video for you guys. I got another video that you guys got to see. It's an old, not old, but it came out like last year, during the peak of all this mask nonsense. And it makes all the sense in the world with what's going on right now. And people are still wearing the mask for whatever the reason. I can't really call it. Let me find it right quick. Oh, here we go. This is one of my favorite videos of all time. Let's check it out. Hold on.
Is the mighty power that can save the day. No one knows what lies behind the mask.
So if you guys couldn't see what was going on, what you had was a man going to a podium. Before he went to the podium, his mask was off. He put the mask on, got his script from the ground, went about 5 feet to the podium, took the mask off, and read his script. One more time, if you didn't see it. So right here, he's behind the little, he's not even really behind the curtain. He's like just kind of slightly off stage. It's like, I can see you right here, sir. I'm looking dead at you. Your mask is not on. So you're kind of just off stage a little bit, putting your mask on, right? Fumbling with it, putting it on wrong and everything, right? Because you don't normally wear it.
Is the mighty power that can save the day.
And then his script is on the ground, so you got to pick up, got to go to the floor, people walking on it and everything else. That's where your script is. So you got all kind of cooties in your hands, and you're going to touch it. You're going to use the same hands to touch your face, and you get all kind of schmutz and whatnot from that transaction, right? But here he goes, getting the script. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. He walked 5 steps to the podium. Hold on, let's count one more time. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 to the pivot. 6 total steps to the podium with his mask on, and then took it off. Why? My favorite, my one of my all-time favorite is right there. Love it. But the reason why I played that video is because of this whole thing with Ron DeSantis. It's the same situation. It's all theater. And he's saying that it's like, okay, let's stop playing games here. Let's stop with the theater, please. This is ridiculous. There's no purpose in doing this. Hold on, let me find that clip, and then we're going to get into the new clip. Hold on. Matter of fact, this will work. This will work right here. Matter of fact, yeah, let's do this. I want to find that first clip and then the second one. Okay, so here we go. Here's the first clip. And again, you have DeSantis going to the podium. His kids already right there. And he goes to the kids and they say, hey, there's no need for the mask. You can take it off if you want to. If you don't want to, that's fine. Let's go ahead and play it and you can hear what he says for yourself.
You do not have to wear those masks. I mean, please take them off. Honestly, it's not doing anything, and we got to stop with this COVID theater. So if you want to wear it, fine, but this is ridiculous.
So you see the young man right there, right? And the ball cap on the right-hand side. Now, look at his face. Does that face say, oh, man, I'm intimidated by the man in power. I didn't want to take my mask off. Does that face say that? Or does that face say, thank you for letting me take my mask off. I'm getting hot up under here. It stinks. I don't like this mask. I'm finally glad I could take the mask off, right? If you were to guess from the body language, what would you say? Is that a bad thing that's happening to him, or is it a good thing that's happening to him? Y'all just let me know. From what I see, that's a good thing that's happening to him. His face tells the story. Like, yep, I'm taking the mask off. Little sly grin. Okay, now, here comes his mom. Okay, here comes his mom, and the mom is upset. You already know what time it is. Because I already know what happened. Here's what happened before we even get into the clip. Mom said, keep the mask on, and don't take it off for nobody. Because you can't get sick. I don't want to get sick, X, Y, and Z. Mom said, keep the mask on, and that's why you had the mask on. Someone, DeSantis, said, you can take it off if you want to, and he did it. It kind of undermined her, so she's upset at that. You see the face, the eyes as big as dinner plates. Them eyes are humongous. My eyes do not even do that. I can't open the eyes that far. She's upset. And notice how her mask is off, but his is on. They're outside of their house. I see the street lights behind them. They're not indoors. It's at night. Doing a TV interview. Why is your mask on, sir? It's because she got mad at the son for, I guess, rebelling against her on camera and supporting the white man that she doesn't like, probably. She probably voted for Andrew Gillum, who got caught in the boys' restroom, basically, but I digress.
I'm responsible for him, and I told him to wear that mask. And Governor DeSantis, and he's looking at this adult authority and is telling him, oh, you didn't have to wear the mask.
What was your reaction when you heard the governor tell you and your classmates, remove your masks?
A bit of surprise and shock, more of, okay, this authority.
Meanwhile, as he's talking, the mom is right here, like a good 4 inches away from his face. I'm talking about if the boy, he's like this, staring daggers into him. It's like, boy, you better say the right thing. So we're talking about being pressured from an authority figure. Your mom or DeSantis, which one has more power? The governor ain't right there in front of your face. Your mom is. Okay. That's what's going on.
Authority figure is asking me to do something that I know is probably going to end up being controversial. So I took mine off.
Did you feel pressure by the governor to do that?
That long pause says it right there. Because you got to answer right. His mom is right here. Mama's right here. You about to get to put on punishment. Ain't no more PS5. No more NBA 2K. No more TikTok. No more cell phone. You know what I'm saying? That's what's happening. Because I've been here. I know that look. I know this whole scenario. Okay? You don't want to get in trouble with your mom. You probably bought 15, 16, living at the crib. That's what's happening right here. That long pause to me says, I did not feel pressure. I felt relieved from pressure to keep the mask on.
A little. it was more of a pressure of an adult figure asking me to do something, and it's just like, all right, why not?
It's just shocking that the governor told these kids, take off your mask. He pretty much said, take off your mask, it's stupid. And take off your mask, your parents don't matter. Even though I'm telling you, parents matter. And he's telling my minor child to take off his mask. He's putting us at risk.
At risk, ma'am, where's your mask? How are you at risk for the whole mask being off thing while you have no mask on? I don't really understand. It's kind of silly.
So, I was upset, very upset.
So that's what that was. Now there's more. There was one more clip here. Let me see if I can find it right quick. Oh, here's another one. Now look at this guy. Okay, here's a different parent of a different child, and this boy kept his mask on because, again, DeSantis said, if you want to keep it on, that's fine. I'm not telling you to take it off, and as a demand, okay, you don't have to keep it on if you don't want to keep it on, but if you want to keep it on, go ahead, that's fine. So here is another person, a father, and let's see what he says.
I would tell them to stop bullying kids. It's fine if you don't want to wear a mask, but encourage others to do what they feel is safe, and leave it at that.
I was thinking, I don't know if I should take it off or leave it on, because the governor, he asked us to take it off. But I thought about it, and it's my right to have my mask on.
His mother tells him to wear the mask. I tell him it's his choice.
See, right there, I already know what's going on. See, if the father is married to the mother, he's henpecked. He does whatever she says. He is like, yo, it doesn't really matter. You can wear it or not wear it. But the mom is like, yo, keep it on. So there's a conflict right there. So he defaults to what the mother says because he is dominated by her. Look at this guy, man. You have on a disguise. A disguise. It's at night. You're in front of your garage door outside. I know what a garage door looks like. You're outside. You have outdoor lighting. You have on sunshade, sir. You're blocking your eyes out, and you got on the mask. Outdoors at night. For what? Your boy got on the mask. You got on the mask. For what reason? They came out and said that these masks don't work already. They said that. The CDC said that. CNN said that. FDA, they're all saying these masks don't work. So what's the purpose in doing this? And the sunglasses you have on a disguise, sir. This is crazy. I mean, you know what? I don't totally blame this guy for wearing a disguise outside to try and protect from this bug like that. Like the bug is like, oh man, he's not even here, man. I don't even see him. He has on a disguise. I can't see him. I'm gonna just go right past him. Sorry, sir. I didn't know you were, not really a person. I thought that you got to have visible eyes and a visible mouth to get infected. Sorry. Move on to the next guy. He has it on because the media has scared him so much. And probably the mother, in his ear. Back, back, back. He's like, look, you know what? I put on this whole disguise and call it a day. And I'm going to tell my boy to do the same thing. That is what's going on in my humble opinion. Okay, the boy got dreadlocks in front of his face and the mask up to right below his eye. They're afraid. They're totally afraid because of what the media says. That's all. So yeah, shout out to the parents of these kids for having them scared for no reason. There's no reason to fear. There's no reason to be scared. Florida is not really a mask place, so being afraid does not really make logical sense. And matter of fact, hold on. There's another video I have. I got to find right quick. Y'all give me a second. And if you like what you're hearing so far, please give the video a thumbs up. Like the video, share the video, do all that good stuff. I'm going to get to the virus side effects in a minute if you've not seen that video yet. But there's another video from the Florida, I want to say health director or somebody. I got to find that right quick. Y'all give me a second because that was a really good video. Hopefully I have it here. I got more videos I'm going to play a little bit later. Let me find that one because that one really summed everything up. If I can't find it, I'm going to be upset. Let me see. I'm going to find that right quick. And I'm going to get to that in just a second. I think I'll move right along and get to the, probably get to the other stuff. Yeah, I'll get to the other stuff first. and then we keep on moving. Oh yeah, okay. Y'all talking about Surgeon General. Let me find a Surgeon General video. Florida Surgeon General. Let's go ahead and there we go. There we go. Okay. This is perfect. Thank you to the person who said that. I can't see your name right now because there's kind of a lot going on. This is Florida Surgeon General. And let's go ahead and get this right here. Okay.
It's hard to find these in Florida. You gotta look hard.
Now he's talking about the masks. He has a mask in his hand and says it's hard to find these in Florida. You gotta look hard because Florida, they're not really on this whole wave of masking at this point. Some people are still doing it, but a lot of us are not. If you're living in Florida.
But if you know where to look, you can find them. So I brought this, right? So unfortunately, we have a country right now where most people, including, this is across the political spectrum, think that these things are saving lives. So in medicine, in science, we have something called levels of evidence, okay? And we've got our high level evidence and lower levels of evidence. And our highest level of evidence are clinical trials. So to the doctors who tell you that these things save lives, ask them, what did the two randomized clinical trials that we've done during the pandemic, what did they show? Ask them that when they tell you that these things save lives. One found nothing, zero benefit. The other found a small benefit, like a tiny benefit that's a little bit methodologically shaky. And by the way, none of them found a benefit in young people. Not a single one found a benefit in young people. That's the highest quality evidence. That's what it showed. Lower evidence is what the CDC likes to tout. Shaky studies, shaky methods, finding 80% reductions in infection. Give me a break, come on. Nothing that we're seeing in this country justifies that kind of conclusion. So that's what the evidence shows. And doctors who said that these things are not going to save your life. These things aren't going to end the pandemic. These doctors, they've been kicked off of social media. Like, these are facts. They've had their licenses suspended, because they didn't think that their clinical practices needed to do that. That's crazy. Good doctors who were brave enough to say what the science showed got punished. And that's happening, and it's still happening, where people are still holding up the illusion that these things save lives. These things are not saving lives.
So there you have it. Florida's Surgeon General dropping the hammer. You got doctors on there. You got doctors on stage laughing at the mask, laughing. So I'm saying, like, the doctors, like, people say believe the science, trust the science. They say to me, "Oh man, you're not a doctor, ABL. You don't know what you're talking about. You just a conspiracy theorist, mass work." Doctors are coming out here and by the hundreds, thousands saying these things don't work. So who do I believe? Anthony Fauci? By the way, have you seen Anthony Fauci lately? Put the man on the milk carton. He's missing. Where is Anthony Fauci at? Anthony Fauci is somewhere in somebody's basement. You don't see him anymore. Why? Because he is proving himself to be nothing but what is Anthony? Anthony Fauci is the equivalent to, like, Bill Nye the Science Guy, a TV doctor at best, not a legitimate, credible person. Okay, the frontline doctors, those are credible doctors. My man right here in Florida, Surgeon General, credible physician, credible person in healthcare and medicine. Anthony Fauci is not a doctor. If he is a doctor, then so is Dr. J. Okay, that's what that is. Or Dr. Dre. How about that? Ridiculous. So yeah, Fauci is on the milk carton. I don't know where that man is at, but he's not out here giving any more flip-flopping, ridiculous, false advice, okay? Because there's too many of these doctors coming out on TV and social media. It's too many of them coming out and saying what's real. And they can't hold the facade up anymore. They can't hold it up anymore because we're going past it. We're moving past it. Even in the State of the Union address, they said we're going to kind of go past it and be in the post-virus world. So they can't really keep on holding on to that anymore. It's just not really realistic. Now, quickly, there's some, I want to read some of these side effects from the bug. Just quickly. I did my video on it. It's doing pretty well right now. But here's some side effects from the bug. I'm going to read straight from this article. Hold on. Let me see. Let me see if I can find it right quick. Give me 1 second. All right. And I'm going to read this straight from. Hold on. I got to find. There we go. Okay. So here we are. This is from Global Newswire, also found on Yahoo News. This is from Children's Health Defense. Okay, just real quickly, we're not going to be all day. I'm zooming a little bit here. Now, the FDA released that data from the Pfizer vaccine trial. Remember back in the day, they said, not back in the day, but I guess like last year or so, they were saying, oh, we got to have 75 years to release the data because we don't have the manpower. We don't have the ability to release all the data right now. And the judge said, no, let's not do that. Okay, release the data now. At least 55,000 pages per month. Release it right now. So by court order, it didn't take 75 years. It took 1 month. Funny how that works, right? Funny how court orders make the impossible possible, but I digress. Anyway, so the data's out there, and it's public because of a FOIA request. If I could find the 55,000 pages specifically, I'll link to that in the description somewhere in the video I did, perhaps, or somewhere else. But it's out there to the public. This is a document that anybody can read, okay? Now, the meat and potatoes is there's 38 pages of what they call adverse events of special interest. That's called a side effect, okay? Now, there's 1,291 of them. 1,291 different, quote unquote, adverse events of special interest, meaning side effects. Here's a few of them, not even all of them. Here's just a handful. You see the list. This is like reading a back of a candy bar or some kind of processed food. Xanthan gum. Anyway, I digress. So here's a few of the side effects. Acute kidney injury, acute flaccid myelitis, which is polio. Some may say, oh, it's similar to polio. It's kind of the same as polio. That's polio. In my opinion, it's polio. You can look it up for yourself. Acute flaccid myelitis, polio. Look it up for yourself. That's a side effect of the vax, according to FDA data. And it's the Pfizer vaccine clinical trial. This is where data comes from. Anti-sperm antibody positive, brainstem embolism, brainstem thrombosis, cardiac arrest, which means heart attack, cardiac failure, heart failure, cardiac ventricular thrombosis, blood clot in your heart, could cause cardiac arrest or cardiac failure, cardiogenic shock, there's nervous system, vasculitis, death neonatal. Death neonatal apartments, that's like an early death of a baby, kind of like SIDS or something like that, maybe. What else? You have deep vein thrombosis, which is a blood clot, encephalitis brainstem, encephalitis hemorrhagic, frontal lobe epilepsy, foaming at the mouth, epileptic psychosis, facial paralysis, also called Guillain-Barré or Bell's palsy, when it kind of like slopes like that. Fetal distress syndrome, gastrointestinal amyloidosis, generalized tonic seizure, and so on. There's a few more here. Jugular vein embolism, juvenile myoclonic epilepsy, herpes zoster reactivation. Now, that's shingles. I thought it was like the cold sore, but that's shingles. So it could cause you to have shingles. Like the herpes zoster is already in your body. If you had chickenpox, you already have herpes zoster in your body. but the vax could trigger you to have shingles. You see what I'm saying? It could be a stressor to give you shingles, but it's already right there. And one of the main ones here is myocarditis. That is a very important one because it causes your heart area to inflame, therefore causing cardiac failure, cardiac arrest, etc. Neonatal seizure, pancreatitis, pneumonia, stillbirth, tachycardia, temporal lobe epilepsy, testicular autoimmunity, thrombotic cerebral infarction, type 1 diabetes, mellitus, venous thrombosis, neonatal, and vertebral artery thrombosis. And there's a few more. Again, it's just a few of them. A handful of the 1,291 different potential side effects from the Pfizer, not even the Moderna or the Johnson & Johnson, only from Pfizer in a clinical trial. This is public data available to the public. And again, I did my video today. If you go to the description box, you can see this right here for yourself. There's a document. Okay, and it lists it. Look, these are all of them right here. You can't even see it. This is 38 pages of very small text. And just find it. You can find it. Now, I don't know how prevalent all these things are. I don't know that part, but I do know this is the official document. Okay, it's here. I'm just reading it. That's all. Yeah, that's a handful of side effects. 1,291. Yeah, not really that many. So I'm saying, but we've already known this. We've known it for a while. We've known about myocarditis and the stroke and heart failure and Guillain-Barré, and we've known about all that for a long time. So now we're vindicated. We're vindicated. Herpes zoster, that means shingles, if I'm not mistaken. If I'm wrong, let me know in the comments. Yeah, so you already have that in your body if you already had chickenpox. So the vaccine could cause that to be triggered, according to the clinical trial data. So you see why they wanted to have 75 years to put out the data rather than putting it out right now. And the judge a judge was necessary to make them release it. Now, if that judge didn't do it, then we'll never know officially. Or not until 75 years from now. It's crazy, but I will digress. If you want to see all that, all the side effects potentially, go to the video I did today and look in the description box and you'll see it. Read it for yourself. But I'll move on. We got super chats on deck. I'm going to get to. Thank you for being here and supporting the show. I appreciate you for that. Then we get to the calls. The number to call is 434-658-1220. Again, 434-658-1220. I'll get to those in just a few. So y'all hang tight. Let me go ahead and get to the supers. Make sure I got everything the way it's supposed to be. And we'll get rocking and rolling. Today is the 5th. Let's go to where I'm at. Thank you to Apple Backer, who says, God bless Ukraine. God protect the children. Peace. Also, RIP Matthew Perna, Democrat DOJ, will face judgment. Pray for J6 MAGA Patriots in DC jail solitary. Slick Willie restarting Clinton Global Initiative. Thoughts ABL, is Hillary going to be running? Will she win? Who's more corrupt, Clintons or Bidens? The Clintons by far. The Bidens are the JV team of corruption. Okay, all they got is like a little bit of China money, a little bit of Ukraine money. They ain't pulling no hits like the Clintons. The Clintons will murk you and steal money from you. But Biden ain't doing nothing but just getting money from China and Ukraine. Like little deals with energy companies. That's nothing compared to murdering somebody and getting away with it. But I'll move on from that. Thank you to Apple again, who says opinions on Eli Mistel. Is he for real? Now, to go back to him, Eli Mistel, I've seen him before. I saw him at Politicon in 2019. They're weird. Like, these people, they're like characters. They're like cartoon characters to me. They're not really real people. They're like Hollywood actors, in my opinion. Okay, that's the guy talking about the Constitution is trash. Let me see if I can find that right quick. Give me 1 second here. But he's a cartoon character. His hair is always the same in the perfect little afro bun. He's a clown. hold on. Here we go. Here's the clip I want to show you guys. And let's go ahead and put it on the screen. This is on The View, of course. And you have Anna Navarro wearing a Ukraine t-shirt. So cringy. A Ukraine t-shirt. I mean, come on. They don't. Where's your Afghanistan t-shirt at? But let me stop.
Some will say, okay, so are you arguing for throwing out the Constitution? Should the Constitution be thrown out? What do we do? Is it a living document? Or is it a sacred document?
It's certainly not sacred, all right? The Constitution is kind of trash. Now, let's just talk as adults for a second.
What did you say? It's what?
It's kind of trash.
Trash.
It was written by slavers and colonists and white people who were willing to make deals with slavers and colonists. They didn't ask anybody to look like me what they thought about the Constitution.
Some will say, okay, so are you arguing?
So yeah, that's him. I mean, the guy's a clown. He's like that for a living. Like this little his appearance. I don't like guys like that. Not really real people. Can't really relate to him. That's not my cup of tea at all. Okay. Some guys I just don't like, and he's one of them. I don't dislike a lot of people in real life, like in my everyday life. But that guy right there, if I saw him, I did see him. I didn't like him. Didn't like him. Not really a real person. Malcolm Nance too, another one I don't like. It kind of my skin crawls when I see them. But he's serious in what he says. I think he believes it, but he's the kind of guy that appoints himself like the king of black people. It's like he reminds me of Peter Griffin when he did that. You know, matter of fact, when I see him, I see Peter Griffin. I'm gonna find that picture right quick. Give me a second. Okay, matter of fact, here it is. When I see Eli Mistel, I think that's what I see. 100%. Okay. That's how I view him. He's not really a real person. So that hopefully answers your question, Apu. Let me get to a few more super chats here. And let's go to some more. Okay, let's go to Apu again, who says Ukrainian video, bear shaking the tree, guy boxing his buddy. Oh, okay, yeah. I got the video queued up. So I think this is I think these are Russians, actually, not Ukrainians. But the caption on this, you can't see it. It says, how are we going to sanction these MFs when they're doing stuff like this? So watch the video. So if you can't see it, what you have is a guy. First of all, it's snow on the ground, so it's probably cold. These guys have no shirts on with jeans and shoes. And one guy is like hanging from like a branch with his hands. It's kind of like going down on the ground. So he's not like really high on the ground. He's able to kind of keep his feet on the ground. And he's getting punched in his abdomen by another guy with no shirt on. And he's at the same time lifting his legs above the puncher's head. Wow, there's a bear in the background shaking the tree. A whole bear, like a real life bear. Not even the CGI, a real life bear is shaking the actual tree in the background. I mean, what you gonna do with that, man? Like, if you run into that guy, that's like Ivan Drago. If he dies, he dies. That guy would go ahead and just end you ASAP. That's that Brock Lesnar type stuff going on. You see what I'm saying? Yeah, and in Russia, you fight bears. The bears don't fight you. 1,000% a real bear. Yes, that's a real bear. Absolutely. Sanction what? Sanction that? Okay, you gonna get some trained bears on your hind parts. So shout out to the bear. Shout out to all those guys out there. Stay in this shape. But I'll move on. ABL at Judy Davis says cowboy hat at Miss Adams top hat. I like to see you wear a green Tamil Shanter. I'm not gonna be able to do it. Favorite boxer, Ali Tyson, Sugar Ray, Hackler. Tyson, for me, for my generation, I like Tyson. I never seen Ali fight when he was fighting. I've seen old fights, but Tyson for me out of that right there. Yeah, that Floyd Mayweather also was good because of the defense, but definitely Tyson in his heyday. For that small period of time, he was amazing. I like Lennox Lewis too. Oh, he was amazing. Lennox Lewis, he was really good. He had the speed and the size, the power. Yeah. Apple says former AG Bar wrote book on no election fraud. Also, shame on Barr, shame on Bush's deep state losers. Also, you said your cheat date meal is pizza. How often? What brand? Deep dish or thin crust? What toppings? Also, pineapples on pizza, yay or nay? I give that a green light. Pineapples on pizza, that's fine. Ain't no problem with pineapples on pizza. I don't do that too often though. But I like any kind of like local spot of a pizza. Like if I go somewhere, if I travel, I want to find the local pizza spot that's really good. So I don't really stick to one brand or one thing like Pizza Hut. I mean, if you eat that, it's okay. But I prefer local stuff. So I try different pizzas locally. And if I go to one spot a lot, it'd be Your Pie. But aside from Your Pie, I would do local spots. That's kind of how I operate. All right. And let me go to some more here. Somebody said Holyfield. Yeah, Holyfield was good too. But Lennox Lewis was a whole different. Oh man, that Hakeem Rockman had that thing. So that's like my era. Like I was in high school, college, watching Lennox Lewis. So that was my era. But to see like De La Hoya or somebody, or no, like Duran or Roberto Duran, that was a whole different time. Oh, speaking about boxers, now Sweet Pea is from Norfolk, and I would see him occasionally at Military Circle by the DoubleTree. RIP to Sweet Pea Whitaker, one of the best to come from Norfolk, probably the best out of Norfolk. But yeah, he's from Norfolk, and he was out there still later in his life in Virginia. Apu says, my mom's donation for your gas, ABL, tough times. Thank you, Rick E, for your donation. Also, deep state corrupted Ukraine led to this war. Sad. Dancing with the stars, Ukrainian guy left Ukraine. So is Zelensky still in Ukraine or no? Mike from Queens says $3.95 for regular in New York City. Well, that's not too bad for New York City, but it's going to go up. It's going to go up real soon. Jim Adams says, keep up the good work, ABL. Will do. Thank you for that. Thank you to D-Bat Jones for the clapping emojis. Thank you to Noah Garcia for the donation, who says, gas so high that I left my car at the pump and walked home. Hey, man, I don't blame you, man. It's to the point where you got to sell your car to pay for the gas. It's crazy out here in these streets. Megan B says, I was vaccine injured years ago by the HPV vaccine and developed Graves. Then they nuked my thyroid with radiation, which caused my type 1 diabetes. Wow. Sorry to hear that. And stories like that need to get told more because people should know the risks. It shouldn't just be take this vaccine and that's it. There should be an acknowledgement of potential risks. So sorry for that for you. Thank you to Elise, maybe Griffin too, who says, I made a good rice pudding. I just don't like raisins. Well, that's totally fine. The raisins in the pudding, that can go. But the good rice pudding, that's, hey, I need some of that ASAP. Send it on a FedEx overnight in a little cooler or something. I need some of that rice pudding. I've not had that since I've been a little boy, really. I've had banana pudding and whatnot, but a good rice pudding, I've not had that in a long time. Thank you to Bottom Wonderful Views by Tom, who says, old days, that would be when Animal House was allowed. There you go. Thank you to Not a Bandit Count, who says, are you against the illegal DC trucker blockade? What blockade? Are they blocking the road? I've not seen them do that. Bottom Wonderful Views by Time says, masks are stupid if the libs agree with Bill Gates, who say, basically with Omicron, everyone basically got a vaccination. Exactly. Natural immunity, who would have thought that could happen from getting the virus? Exactly. We all said that. Natural immunity, if you get the bug, you're going to have the antibodies. And right when they said Omarion's not going to be that severe, I'm like, okay, How about I just get that and then get the antibodies rather than getting the vax with all kind of extra stuff in it? How about I just get the virus? If it's going to be mild, it'll be a little head cold for a minute. I'll be okay. I'm pretty healthy. I'm not 1,000 pounds. I'm not 100 years old. I'll be okay. If I get that, now I have the antibodies and I'm good to go. Why not just get that? It makes sense to me, but hey, whatever. Have I been to Indiana? No, I haven't been to Indiana yet. I like to go to Indiana. You know, maybe. I like to go pretty much every state and visit at least once. But I've not been to Indiana yet. Have I? No. No, not yet. But I know. Ain't no problem going there. Thank you to Caius, who says we need to shut down our border being invaded now. Exactly. He also says somebody's getting sued over these side effects. You can't sue them. Can't sue them, can you? Because it says right there you can't sue Pfizer for the side effects. So who you going to sue? See, that was another thing. It's like, that's a red flag right there. You're telling me to get this vaccine right away because I need it and it's going to help me and help my country. But check it out. If I can't sue them, then where's my protection at? They're protected, but I'm not. They get all the money, all the benefits, and if I have an injury, I'm just pretty much out of luck. That's not very good. Thank you to Princess Kanani for the victory donation. Appreciate you for that. And thank you to Leo Mazzino, who says, why do people think gas prices are not the current administration's fault? They've been told by the media that it's not their fault. The media says that it's the global price, it's the global market, and people in office right now don't affect the global price of gas, and it's just all lies. The price of gas is affected by the current administration in a variety of ways. Like, the media plays word games. Biden can't sit at his desk and put a number in there and make that be the price of gas. That's not how it works. But his actions or lack thereof create higher gas prices. Shut down Keystone XL, that's going to impact production, therefore impacting the price of gas. This whole bad Afghanistan pullout and the whole thing with Ukraine not really wanting to back off, that's caused this whole thing right now with the invasion. That's causing the prices to skyrocket. So things that he did or did not do have most certainly impacted the price of gas. But the media says a different thing. So they believe whatever the TV tells them. But as a kid, it's weird because I was always told, don't believe whatever you see on TV. But I guess not everybody got that same kind of talk, maybe. Or they believe certain things, but not everything. Whatever. All right. Super chats on deck. We got those out the way. Thank you for being here and supporting the show. Time for the calls. The number to call is 434-658-1220. Again, 434-658-1220. And also, that's right, Bob, okay, MIT, shutting down fracking. When you reduce the energy production, you're going to have higher prices because you have a lower supply, but you still got a high demand. That's going to cause prices to rise. It's basic economics, but we don't really pay that any kind of mind anymore. Now, here's a good question from Chrissy, who says, can Fauci be sued for misinformation? Can you sue Fauci over that? I don't know, because a good lawyer would say that he thought that what he was saying was true. So you got to be able to prove that he said something intentionally incorrect. And if you were able to sue him on that, that might be kind of a gateway to suing a guy like me. If I say something and some guy says, oh, that's not right, here's a 100% correct way to say it. If I say one word wrong, they might try to sue me on that. So you probably can't, but I'm not sure what else could be done. Buff vs. Windshield says, now the CDC says if you get the virus before or after the bug, you have super immunity. That's right. I've seen that. 10 times better than just a jab. Come on now. That's just insulting. Right. Super immunity. But people believe it, though. They believe that. They think it's like Vaccine Plus, like it's Netflix or something like that, or HBO Plus. They believe it. They believe it. You guys and myself, we don't believe it. But they, the uninformed and the willfully ignorant, they do. But I move on. The number to call is 434-658-1220. Again, 434-658-1220. If you can't get on, it's not my fault. Blame the white man. Let's go ahead and get rocking and rolling here. Let me see. And make sure I got everything good to go. All right, they call him my speaker to 317.
How's it going, bro?
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I was turning my TV down. Sorry.
All right, what's happening?
Nothing. Just looking at the crazy world, man. I really think Biden, I don't think he loses no matter what happens.
You don't think so? Why you say that?
Because he was in bed with Ukraine, and then now you got everything going on in Russia, and we're literally funding that war because of us buying our oil from them. So I think he's just sitting back for the ride, and hey, however it plays out, it plays out.
Well, is he going to be able to succeed next time in 2024?
Oh no, he's over with.
Right.
He's over with now. I mean, I think if the Republicans get it together and they can pull the right thing off, he'll be out of here before to be mid-23. You know what I mean? I feel like there's an impeachment process coming.
Hey, that's possible. It could happen.
It needs to happen.
Oh, it definitely does because
Yeah.
I mean, what's going on right now? That can't really that can't persist because the country, the whole world is suffering as a result of all this.
And he doesn't care. How in the world do you have two major countries? One is a nuclear superpower. How do you have one of them declare war and you decide I'm going on vacation this weekend to Delaware so I can have my soft cream and take a nap? I mean, who the hell are you? Trump would have been at the White House 24/7, phones ringing, calling whoever, doing whatever he could. This man goes on vacation.
It's nuts. It really is.
It's an insane world, ABL. But, you know, I'm glad I got through. I make sure I share all the content, love the content, and, you know, keep doing what you're doing. And thanks, man.
Thank you for the call, man. Definitely appreciate you.
Yep, appreciate you, too.
All right, shout out to the caller. Good call. And let's get to some more calls here. The number to call is 434-658-1220. Again, 434-658-1220. Let's go to 405 on the line. Who am I speaking to?
ABL Travis here.
All righty, what's happening?
Not much. How you doing?
I'm well, man. Can't complain.
Great show as usual.
Oh, thank you, man. Appreciate that.
You guys were talking about boxing. I think it's really hard to compare fighters from different eras. You kind of have to do it, you know, generation by generation, I think. What do you think?
Yeah, I believe so. That's why I was saying, like, in my generation, like, when I was watching boxing more, like, when I was high school, college, up until now, I can talk about that, but I can't really speak on before me, like Ali and whatnot, because I wasn't able to really see them. And then, of course, things change over time. Fighters are different. You know, a Tyson couldn't really exist like in the Ali time, in my opinion. So it's just, it's different eras. It's very hard to compare. I agree.
Yeah, exactly. That's why I get irritated when people are like, who's the greatest of all time in any sport? I'm like, well, the rules change, the game change. You can't compare eras. I wanted to talk to you also about that Eli Missile guy talking about the Constitution. He said, people like me didn't write the Constitution, you know, talking about black people. And it's so, that's the epitome of that type of mindset, that they're focused on who wrote it rather than the merits of the ideas behind it.
Exactly. That's the main thing. It's about, what does the Constitution say? Like, is it a good document or not? It shouldn't matter who wrote it. The question is it good? Does it work for us? And
exactly.
If it doesn't work for us, I can't really tell, because we have the best country in the world that everybody wants to come to. So there's that.
Yeah, that's a theme nowadays. I notice is people will care more about who says something rather than what they're saying. You know, anybody like with a bias, if you love Trump or whatever and he says something incorrect, but you just can't see it because you'd rather validate that you take validity in the person instead of their ideas.
Right.
Do you think that's a big problem nowadays?
Yeah, I think so. I definitely think it is. You know, people they're so caught up in these different battles that are outside of that. They forget to talk to somebody and speak to them about their ideas. Just focus on the ideas rather than all the other stuff on the outside.
Yeah, don't focus on the identity of people. Focus on their ideas. So, and then I want to ask you another thing. I was scrolling through YouTube. I caught a black conservatives versus black liberals video on YouTube, and to my surprise, you were on it.
Was that Jubilee?
And, was that, sorry, what?
Was it Jubilee?
I think it was the setup where you're sitting on the stools and ask you a question.
Yeah.
Come forward if you think this.
Yeah, that was Jubilee. I did that back in 2020, like right when the virus first hit in LA. So yeah, that was a very interesting show, to say the least.
Yeah, it was a good. You guys had a good little debate there, and I was curious, how did that come about? Did they approach you about it, or did you talk to them first?
Well, yeah, they approached me. They emailed me, and they were saying that they asked me if I wanted to be part of it, and they said how the format would be, and they showed me some of the other ones they had done before, which was a similar format. So I'm like, yeah, sure, let's do it. So, you know, I didn't get paid at all. I just, you know, flew to LA on my own dime, got a hotel by myself, because I wanted just to have that be out there. I didn't care about no money or nothing. I just wanted to put it out there to give my point of view. So I'm glad you were able to see that and get something from it.
Yeah, I really enjoyed it, and I do like that format they use. I mean, they do a good job of letting people, you know, not being biased, I feel like. And I don't know how they edited it, if you felt they did an injustice anyway, but I always think they do a pretty good job of presenting.
No, they were very fair. The editing was very good. They gave both sides the appropriate amount of attention. It was very well done.
Okay, and then I know I'm taking up a lot of time. I got a couple more things. The mainstream media on those COVID effects, I don't watch much TV, so do you know if they're covering it at all?
I've not seen them cover it. They could be covering it, but I've not seen it, so I don't think so.
Yeah, and I've heard no one talking about it. Okay, and the last thing, the Ukraine videos, I heard on a podcast I listened to, they were saying that a lot of the videos, like of the guys saying bye to their kids and their wives on the buses, that those were from years ago, from a different event. And they brought up another couple examples, but do you know if that's true, or have you heard anything about that?
I don't know if that's true, but it could be. I've seen some pictures from years ago in different places that were posed off that were supposed to be Ukraine today. So that happened, but I don't know about the videos of the buses specifically.
Okay, well, thanks for your time. Love the show. Have a good evening, brother.
Thank you for the call, man. Appreciate it. All right, shout out to the caller. And thank you all for being here yet again. Definitely appreciate it. If you enjoy what you're hearing so far, please give the video a thumbs up. Like the video, share the video, do all that good stuff. 262, you're on the line. Who am I speaking to?
Hi, this is Jesse from Milwaukee, Wisconsin. How you doing, ABL?
I'm well, man. How about yourself?
Not too bad. I just wanted to thank you for posting up the stuff about the Pfizer. I found that pretty intriguing because since the beginning of the pandemic, I think it's nice to have some numbers. I'll never forget the 55000 and 1291. Those numbers are always going to stick out in my mind, and I just want to say I appreciate you for that.
And no problem.
Because I learned about that. I believe it was yesterday you posted that.
Yeah, I mean, I had to do it because when I saw that one thing that really kind of stood out to me was how it wasn't really being covered. I'm like, okay, I need to do this. People,
Yeah, of course.
yeah, some are going to be scared because they don't want to have their channel affected. But at the end of the day, this is just public information straight from the government. What are they going to do? Say that I'm posting something that the government posted themselves that anybody can go see? Anybody, they did a FOIA request, so it's out there to the public. You can't hide it anymore. So I have no fear about that.
Yep.
And it's the truth. The truth defends itself. So I'm glad that it's out there and people are watching it.
Yeah, you're dang right, man. Yeah, you got all your P's and Q's covered, man. I just appreciate you. And I don't know. It's kind of scary. It kind of reminds me of eugenics and like, you know, it's all these experimentations that have been going on human beings for all these years. It's just creepy. It needs to be called out. So I appreciate you, man.
No problem. Thank you for the call.
Yeah, good night.
All right, shout out to the caller. Great call. Let's go to some more here. All right, the caller was speaking to 757.
Hello.
Yes.
Hey, is this ABL?
Yes, it is. Who am I speaking to?
My name's Terrence. I'm in Chesapeake, Virginia.
All righty, man. What's going on? Chesapeake, you know, my old home,
Hey.
my old stomping grounds.
Yeah, I heard you give a shout out to Sweet Pete.
Yeah.
So yeah, great guy. But what I've got is you're a very smart guy. I was kind of just browsing, just channel surfing yesterday, and I saw a Ukrainian woman on MSNBC, and she made a statement that kind of was real interesting. She basically said there was a treaty or a memorandum signed between I think it's called the Budapest memorandum, that basically holds the countries that it didn't force them, but apparently they had an agreement where they would give up their nuclear weapons, and when they did that, they kind of relied on everybody else to defend them. But now they're in a situation where to them it seems like everyone's turning their back on them. So they're very frustrated with the West because we're giving thoughts and prayers, and they need some type of missile system, or they're really pushing the no-fly zone. But no one in the media seems to be talking about this memorandum that was signed between Boris Yeltsin and Bill Clinton and a few other countries. I think the UK. But is that a receipt, on their end that says, hey, you guys promised if we gave up our nuclear weapons that you guys would pretty much defend us?
Well, I mean, I'm not really sure, because a lot of those things, I'm not sure how binding they are or if anybody really is going to follow it, because it's a lot of things like that, a lot of agreements and whatnot that are signed that people don't really follow, just like the Minsk Accords, Minsk 1, Minsk 2, they didn't really follow it.
I agree. But when you're the third largest holder of nuclear weapon stockpiles in the world, you're giving up a lot for something that doesn't have much of any teeth behind it, So I understand their position, and now they're being invaded, and everybody's just saying, well, we can only, provide, limited things to you. But we can't enforce a no-fly zone. But didn't Trump enforce a no-fly zone in Syria with the Russians? And the media and everybody says, well, we can't do that, but we'll prompt World War III. But didn't Kennedy basically tell the Russians with the Cuban Missile Crisis that if you don't turn your ships around or you stop shipping missiles to Cuba, there's going to be consequences? But it just seems like the Russians leverage that. It just seems like everybody here in our country is just so scared that if we enforce something like a fly zone, that it's going to be the end of the world. But I think we've had this dance before with them.
Well, see now,
But
the key difference is in Cuba and Syria is that Russia was not invading them. Russia was not fighting the Syrians or the Cubans specifically, whereas now they're fighting the Ukrainians. Because what Russia was going to do in Syria is the same thing we were doing in Syria. We weren't necessarily invading Syria, but at the same time we were. Like we weren't really fighting. We weren't trying to take Syria. We were in there, quote unquote, fighting terrorists. So it's I understand what you're saying, but little details. Hold on. Little details like that make just the difference. That's all.
I hear what you're saying, but I think any old excuse will do with Putin because he's not going to stop, and that's the Ukrainians' point that you guys are basically feeding the alligator, and at some point it's coming for you too. They're saying Poland is next, and then some of the other smaller countries, and they believe he's going to push it right up to the border of the NATO countries, and then it's going to be really interesting, what he's going to do beyond that point, because he just took over a nuclear power plant that's the second largest in Europe. Does he leverage that? I mean, he took the American basketball player today.
Well, I mean, that's she got arrested for drugs the same as she would get arrested anywhere else for drugs. I mean, she can get arrested here for that.
They're saying our people in the government are saying it's possible they were planning on her.
Nah, I mean, you wouldn't take her. Like she had some hash in the bag. The same thing happened to another guy in Dubai. The same exact thing happened. So I think that's a story.
How many
hold on,
times
wait a minute, sir. That's a story that's been drummed up by the media as propaganda against Russia, because that happens a lot to people all over the world. You got drugs in your back from a different country, you don't know about it, and it happens to you depending upon where you are, because they don't allow that in their country. So that's not really a thing to say, oh, well, he's taking her because of, that's not really it. What's happening in Ukraine is they're invading Ukraine specifically, trying to take Ukraine, and they're not in NATO. So if you were to go try to fight and defend Ukraine, you'd be fighting Russia directly. So that'd be you warring against Russia. If Russia goes into Poland, that's NATO. Now NATO will respond. Now you got war. So Putin knows what he's doing he knows where he can and can't go. He knows that NATO's not going to intervene in Ukraine. And he also knows he can't go to Poland or anywhere in NATO because NATO would intervene, then there'd be a war.
But see, that's my point, though. That was the original point that I made, and that's the point that Zelensky keeps going back to, which is this agreement was signed in 1994, and we're giving up our nuclear weapons for assurance.
I got you.
That and it actually says in there, and that's the crux of kind of what I'm getting to, because nobody's really talking about it other than the Ukrainian people. The Ukrainian people keep going back to this agreement.
But ultimately, it means nothing.
Well, obviously now, if we're not going to uphold it, but what that does is for all those little countries that are on the verge or on the cusp of having a nuclear weapon, when they finally do get it, and then the G7 and the larger countries say, hey, let's sit down and let's negotiate this out to try to get them to disarm or give up their weapons, they're going to say, hell no. We saw what happened to the Ukraine.
Maybe so, but see, the problem is it doesn't even matter, because if you try to uphold that, the consequence is worse than not upholding it. You're gonna have World War III, so it doesn't even matter. You got to just wait. Hold on, but I got to wait, sir. I got to sir. Listen, I got to finish this. I got more calls on the line. The whole point is that if you uphold that, the consequence is worse than not upholding. Thank you for the call, man. Definitely appreciate it. All right, shout out to the caller, but I couldn't have him on forever. I understand what he's trying to say. He's like, look, okay, we got an agreement over here. You're not going to uphold it, but if we do uphold it, now we got to fight Russia. If we fight Russia, the whole world is over with. That's called mutually assured destruction. You talk about nuclear weapons going off. So your agreement in this context means nothing at all. Even if it would show bad faith for other countries, It don't matter. I mean, the whole Afghanistan thing is bad faith. We've done a lot of bad faith things all over the world. This wouldn't be the first time, but it'd be the worst time to intervene by trying to fight Russia. All right, let's get to some more here. Thank you for the calls. You guys are the best audience anywhere on the internet. So let's get to a few more. Let's go to 773 on the line. I'm speaker to.
ABL, it's your Chicago police officer friend. How you doing?
Well, man, how about yourself?
I'm good, thanks. I'll make you feel a little better. Rice pudding with every gallon of gas. Maybe that'll take out the sting of the price a little bit.
That'll work.
Hey, you played that video, that LGBT XYZ video. If you notice, everybody on the extreme left, there is no dialogue and no conversation to be had with them. Not just the LGBT, but just all the people on the left. It's a little boy or a little girl's tantrum. It's a kid's tantrum. Try to shut you out. Don't have any discussion. No opposing opinion whatsoever. That's just that's the way they handle things. We don't want to hear from you. We're gonna talk over you, and we don't want to hear your point of view. And it's because they can't defend their point of view.
Exactly, 100%. That's one thing I noticed is like, okay, there's no dialogue. If you have an opinion, you have a viewpoint, let's talk about it. We can disagree, and that's totally fine. But when you just go in there screaming and hollering, I mean, like you said, it's like children throwing a tantrum.
That's exactly right. And on that same point, I don't know if you saw online, you can look it up on YouTube, you can look it up on the internet. The mayor of Chicago, Lori Lightfoot, is now being sued by a lawyer of the Chicago Park District. What happened was, and I've told you this before, where Antifa, blended in with the protesters for the Christopher Columbus statue downtown. Then once they got to the statue and the police were there trying to guard the statue from being vandalized, Antifa then, put on their black outfits, the banner, the stick for the banner, then that was used as a spear, and frozen bottles of water and fireworks were thrown at the police, and some police were hurt. After that incident, there are two statues of Columbus in Chicago. One was the one downtown where that incident happened, and one was at a small park on the west side in an Italian neighborhood. After that incident happened, she had the Park District take down both of the Christopher Columbus statues. And the one in the park in the Italian neighborhood, the organization for Italians, whatnot, asked, where is this statue going? We didn't want it to be taken down. When is it going to be put back up? Okay, so now recently, Italian Americans wanted to use that statue in a parade, and she turned them down. And this is quoting her. This is a quote from our mayor to the lawyer for the Park District. Quote, you make, and I might swear a little bit here, but it's not too bad. You make some kind of secret agreement with Italians. What you are doing, you are out there measuring your dick with the Italians, seeing who has the biggest dick. You are out there stroking your dick over the Columbus statue. I am trying to keep Chicago police officers from being shot, and you are trying to get them shot. My dick is bigger than yours and the Italians. I have the biggest dick in Chicago. That's a quote from our mayor. There's now a lawsuit by that lawyer on that issue. Probably will go nowhere, but that's what's been happening in Chicago recently. Can you believe that language? See, that's part of it. I don't want to hear what you have to say, and I'm just going to do whatever I want to do. And I'm sorry for using the word dick, but that was exactly a quote from her.
Yeah, you know what? I'd heard that quote. I didn't hear the whole quote, though. I was like, why is she saying something like that? What's the context? Now you're giving me the context. Okay, I totally get it.
That was the context.
I understand. And that's really crazy. But I can't really say I'm surprised. For somebody like Lori Lightfoot, not surprised at all.
Yeah, and sure, now you want to save policemen's lives because policemen were hurt and made you look bad that, hey, they're peaceful protesters. Then suddenly, when they get to the statue, all of a sudden it's Antifa in disguise. It's Antifa in disguise, and policemen were hurt. One guy lost his hearing from an explosive going off by his ear and everything. And her solution, instead of arresting those people and berating those people, her solution is, let's take down the statues and hide them somewhere in the basement of City Hall. Unbelievable. But
Crazy.
I'll let you go, ABL. Always a pleasure to talk to you.
Thank you for the call. Definitely appreciate you.
Absolutely.
All right. Shout out to my man from Chicago. Yeah. Shout out to Lori Lightfoot. Hey, sorry for the language, but that had you had to hear the context of that. You understand? So yeah. No more D's on the call for the rest of the night. That's the we've reached the D limit for the night. We keep on moving here. Let's go to some more. And thank you all for being here. Definitely appreciate it. Let's get to hold on. All right, you're online. I'm speaking to 847.
ABL, what's up, man? It's Drew in Chicago. How you doing?
I'm well, man. How about yourself?
Pretty good. That last caller, that story, that was actually pretty funny. But hey, I wanted to call in about the vaccine side effects that were posted, and I actually was looking at it before, like earlier this week when they posted it out, and I was like, I couldn't even read a bunch of this stuff. So I don't know, man, it's crazy. I feel like we haven't even seen the worst of what's potentially gonna come to it. But I feel like they're using this Ukraine thing to distract from all of this stuff from COVID potentially. Do you think that's a possibility?
That's definitely part of it, because you have this whole thing with Ukraine going on, and the virus data just happens to come out right in the midst of it. When you see in wall-to-wall Ukraine coverage on TV, this comes out and not a peep from the mainstream media. I mean, they could carve out a little bit of time for this, because you talk about Ukraine 24/7. Give this story about, I don't know, a minute of airtime, maybe about 5 minutes of airtime. Wouldn't really hurt too much, but they don't want to do that because the focus is on Ukraine, and it's easier to focus on that rather than to shine light on this, which is going to hurt all of what they've been saying the whole time, talking about get vaccinated, it's safe. Well, this is something else that may say that's incorrect.
It's so bizarre. And the thing with Ukraine too, this stuff happened a week and a half after we found out that Hillary Clinton 100% fabricated the story with Trump and the collusion, whatever, Putin bad or whatever. They're just saying the same thing. Like, there's no doubt that there's some stuff going on over there, but to me, it just, I don't know, it just seems super weird, the timing and all of it. But you're right, it is crazy with the stuff. They just don't even talk about COVID anymore. It's like it doesn't even exist. But I don't know. We'll have to see what happens, but it's just another fear tactic in my mind.
Absolutely, 100%.
So, all right, man. Just wanted to throw that out there. Thanks for taking the call.
Thanks for the call, man. Appreciate you.
All right, yeah.
All right, shout out to the caller, and thank you all for being here. You guys are the best audience anywhere on these interwebs. All righty. Victor, what's going on?
Hey, thanks for taking my call.
No problem.
Hey, Lord Lightfoot coming out with that big junk energy.
I see.
Yeah, of course. If you hear the real one, it's called Big.
We know it. We're at the D limit for the night, so we can't say no more D's.
Right, right, exactly. And no, keep it G-rated on it. But I am not surprised, because I hear this all the time. Not all the time, but listening to us, we say that type of stuff like it's normal.
Yeah.
Yeah, and what makes it worse is that when you hear it from women talking like that, it just shows how much of men that she really wants to be.
Exactly. This is really like just trying to show how masculine and how thugged out. It's like, lady, please, your name is Lori. Like, let's cut the nonsense, please.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So anyway, the Brittney Griner story. ESPN, when they first reported it, they were not telling the whole thing, the whole story.
In fact, they tried to make it sound like she wasn't carrying drugs. In their report, they said that she was carrying harshad oil. I think it's
Hashish.
Huh?
Hashish.
Yeah, that. I mean, of course, a lot of people probably won't know what that is. I even had to look it up and see what it is. And I come to find out, basically, she was carrying weed.
Yeah.
Yeah, and they didn't want to report that. I mean, that is a big deal. You don't go into another person's country carrying drugs. Now, they try and play the race card, saying that, oh, she's doing that. They're doing this because she's black. I would say this. I can understand that part because with my brother, he did a internship when he was in college in France. Him and his friends went to Amsterdam, and as they were coming back, what the French police are supposed to do is to check the people to make sure that they didn't bring back weed or drugs back from Amsterdam. They weren't really checking people until they saw my brother. And my brother, he's light skinned. He's a little lighter than the rapper Redman.
Okay.
Yeah. They weren't really checking people out until they saw my brother. And that's when the police started checking him for drugs and anybody associated with him. His friends said that, was telling other people, make sure you're not with my brother because they will check you for weed. I said that story because I was to show that I can understand why they say there could be a racial issue, a racial angle to it. However, I still put the blame on Brittney Griner because you don't do that. Especially if you feel that you're going to be discriminated based on your color, you make sure you do your part not to break their law. And now you put yourself in that situation.
See, the problem with Brittney Griner is that people are not asking why was she in Russia. That's the key. Now she probably was over there playing basketball because a lot of these WNBA players make their money overseas, not in the States, because they want them to come over there. Like she's more of a high ticket item in Russia than she is in the States. So if it's about racism from her point of view, then why is it that they're paying you more than the U.S. is paying you to play basketball as a foreigner? You see what I'm saying? So it's not even that. It's just that you can't just do whatever you want to do in every country. Like weed over here is kind of like not really a big deal, but try going to Dubai with that. Like the rapper Future, his DJ got locked up behind that, DJ Esco, for 2 months in the Dubai jail because he had like a speck of weed in his bag. And it was the same thing. He came from Amsterdam and flew, and they caught it in the airport. And he said they were so strict, they had a magnifying glass to see if it was brown or if it was green. Like, it was crazy. And they found some weed in there, and then he was in jail 2 months behind that. So this ain't nothing new in other parts of the world. Here in the States, if you did that in the States, you might get locked up too. But it probably wouldn't be as bad as, having a little bit and then you go to the penitentiary.
Yeah, exactly. And speaking of states, have you noticed at the View with with the Nutty Professor guy, how the Constitution worked? Did you notice that?
No.
Okay. What's the First Amendment?
You're talking about Eli? I forget his name. Something mystical, Missy. I don't know his name. The Afro guy, the white Afro guy.
Yeah, but him saying that we need to tear the Constitution up, but on the View, he showed how the Constitution worked, even though he wanted to tear it up, because the First Amendment says freedom of speech, and he used his freedom of speech to talk down on the Constitution.
Yeah.
And yet he didn't get in trouble. A black man that's supposed to be in this inherent systemic racist country, allowed to make an attack on the country and get away with it.
That's right. Exactly. Yeah. That's a really good point.
And also the last one is the Congo guy. I am very conflicted on what he said. And this shows how very conflicted and how nuanced war can be. I could see the argument from your side and from the other side, that people that's against you, because they are right. I would say they are right because they brought him into their country for 9 years of their taxpayer money to keep him protected, and now he doesn't want to return the favor. However, when I read the comment section, you said one key word in that comment section, and it's humanitarian. The refugee is a humanitarian thing. That means that you don't expect to get anything in return from that refugee. If you really want him to fight in the war, then why didn't you make him a citizen? So to observe your country.
Or better yet, to stay in Congo and fight there.
Yeah, and exactly. And he already showed you that how he didn't want to stay in the country when it's tough. So what do you make you think that he's going to fight in your country?
Exactly.
And then with the whole issue about that the Ukrainians are kicking the non-Ukrainians out and stuff, I can understand that point, because if let's say that if it's my family, I'm a refugee and it's my family, and I'm trying to let my family escape, but yet though they kick my family off the bus, I wouldn't want to fight for them either. That's
what I'm saying. It's like you can't have it both ways. You can't say, okay, I'm on the bus trying to escape. I got my wife and my kids on the bus, and say, no, they can't escape because Ukrainian citizens first. Okay, well, if it's like that, then why ask me to fight at the same time? You can't partially give me the rights as a citizen while at the same time want me to fight as a citizen, the same as everybody that has full rights. That's not give me everything or give me nothing.
Yeah, exactly. Anyway, thanks for taking my call.
Thanks for the call, man. Appreciate it.
All right, bye.
It's simple. That's all. So yeah, if you're a refugee, then you're a refugee. If you are a refugee and you're fleeing conflict, why would you go somewhere else and fight a conflict for them? Because the whole point of you fleeing was a conflict. You're leaving the conflict areas. That's all. It's so simple. But I think there's a lot of emotional baggage attached to Ukraine because of all the propaganda, in my opinion. A lot of media propaganda, a lot of fake stories going out there that sometimes don't get debunked in time. Let's get to some more here. Let's go to 860 on the line. Who am I speaking to?
Hey, ABL, what's up, my brother?
What's going on?
F&A Ranger Xbox here.
All righty, man. What's happening?
Oh, not much. It's just sitting here, listening about the mask and stuff, and you know how I feel about that.
Oh, yeah.
The United States Army taught me.
Right.
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you, sir.
No, go ahead.
The United States Army taught me that if your mask does not work inside the gas chamber, it ain't going to work outside the gas chamber.
Right.
I happen to have some insider information that there are 25,400 microns per inch. A human hair is about 4 microns. A virus is 0.003 to 0.0005 microns. That's 3/1000ths of a micron to 5/10,000ths of a micron. That's pretty small. And I don't think that cloth mask, since flagellance molecules a lot bigger than that. But there's a chart where it shows you that cigarette smoke's bigger than that, and it goes through the mask, no problem. All sorts of stuff. We've been saying it for 2 years.
Right.
And I don't know if you remember.
Go ahead.
I'm sorry, didn't mean. We've been saying it for 2 years, but about the vaccine, do you remember, like a year and a half ago, I told you that I used to get the flu vaccine, mRNA flu vaccine, and the third year it almost killed me. I was
I was sick. I was near death for like 6 weeks. I went to my doctor. My wife works for my doctor. She put that little clip on my finger, took it off one hand, put it on the other hand, then went and got another machine, hooked it up, and I said, "What's wrong?" She goes, "You're dead. You ain't got no oxygen in your blood." And so now this thing comes out, and I'm reading about the vaccine, and she's all gung-ho, let's get it to the kid. I'm like, no, you ain't giving that to my kids. Hell, the kids don't need it. They're robust. They're healthy. And now that we got that covered, Russia, Ukraine. I don't know if I told you I was in Russia for 6 months in 2017.
Okay.
And I was working in the Irkut Aircraft Corporation, which is a Russian military airframing factory in Siberia. I'm sorry, I can't. Like I said to Siberia. I'm sorry, I can't. That just hits me every time. But they didn't want me in their factory. But I can say this for the Russians. They're pretty honest, you know. I mean, they could have made up something because I'm an Army veteran. They didn't want me in their military factory. But I was eventually, I mean, they gave me a hard time every day until I repaid the favor, and then they left me alone. But, you know, they're just people. And outside of that, on the street and everything, and at the hotel, they were very nice people. They were very accommodating. I mean, there's a Ukrainian bartender. I don't drink, but and late at night, that was the only place to go to get French fries and burger and stuff was in the bar. But he's from Ukraine, and he explained to me that when the Soviet Union broke up, or the Ukraine, the Russians call it the Ukraine as part of Russia, you know, that section, and Ukrainians call it Ukraine, meaning our country. But there's a couple of ethnic groups in there, and on the eastern side, those are primarily Russians, and they identify as Russian. And apparently, Putin was put into he wasn't given much of a choice in this matter, but we are funding it by paying him $125 a barrel when we can make oil for $27 a barrel here. And what are your thoughts on that?
About us funding the war through the gas. Well, I mean, it's just silly. But you know, you have a bunch of different. You have politics intervening. You have the climate change stuff, and we can't have Keystone XL. Just silly, ridiculous things that only hurt us in the world. They only hurt citizens. Like it makes no sense to not produce oil and gas here, but still bring it from overseas. So rather than having the pipeline going from Canada to the United States, we're going to bring it on boats from Russia. It's the silliest thing in the world.
You're right. It is. And the thing about the Keystone Pipeline, that oil comes from the tar sands. And a lot of people don't know that the tar sands were created when the Pacific Plate and the North American Plate collided, pushing up the Rocky Mountains. All the oil that was underground spilled over the mountain range and laid out over a dried up ocean bed into the sand. So that's the largest ecological cleanup in the history of mankind, is us using that oil.
Right.
And that, and a lot of kids don't know. They don't know that oil and coal are fossilized, fermented vegetation from millions of years ago. And that when we burn it and release CO2, we're not adding to the atmosphere's CO2. We're putting back what those plants took out of it.
Exactly.
And the plants that are breathing now are greener and more alive and everything because of that CO2. And we know this because we have greenhouses, and they pump CO2 in the greenhouses on purpose to make the plants grow bigger, faster, and stronger.
Exactly.
It's just all scams. They
Right on,
just
man.
don't tell us the truth anymore.
Well, thank you for the call, man. Definitely
Well,
appreciate
anyway,
you.
yep, I love your show. Thank you, brother. And I guess you can keep that white man that screens the calls.
Thank you, man. Appreciate it.
You take care.
I know.
Bye.
All right, let's get to a few more here. And let's go to. All righty, give me 1 second. 513 alarm. Who am I speaking to?
Hi. I want to thank that last caller. Let me turn you off here in the background. All these years, I never realized the fossil and fossil fuels is actual fossils. Is that right? Is that what he said?
Like fossilized plant matter.
Yeah, I never put that together. Did you?
Well, I
Did
mean,
you know that?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. So kind of dumb. But the caller before him made a comment, and he made a comment of if this person would have just followed the rules. And I think you guys were talking about pot at that time, and America might be lax on it now, but for the longest time we weren't, and people left to go other places to be relaxed about it, if I understand correctly.
Well, I mean, I'm not really sure what she was doing, but I guess you could go somewhere like Afghanistan, but like Amsterdam, and you can, get high there, I suppose.
I mean, I'm just thinking, like, does it really matter? I mean, I'm not understanding why it matters that she had this.
Because it's illegal in Russia.
Oh, it is? Oh, okay.
Yeah, she was in the airport. So, I mean, imagine if you had some weed in the airport here. I'm not sure you could do that.
Right. I just worry about if we've gone so far with the rules that now we have anarchy because there's just too many rules. And to say that she was wrong. She messed up. She's a elected official. She's representing her base. She totally.
Well, nah, she's basketball. Like, who are you talking about? You talking about a basketball player?
The one who brought the weed into Russia.
Yeah, she's
I
she's
thought
a basketball player.
Okay, that was a basketball player?
Yeah.
I thought you were talking about Lori Lightfoot did that.
No. That'd be
I thought
crazy.
you said Lori Lightfoot got caught with hash on her.
No. That's a basketball player that did that. Lori Griner. Not Lori Lightfoot,
I
Lori
totally
Griner.
mixed it up. Right. Lori Lightfoot was the one that used the D word.
Yeah, right.
Why do you think she felt comfortable with doing that?
You talking about the basketball player or Lori Lightfoot?
No, Lori Lightfoot, talking that way.
Because she's probably just a vulgar person in general. It's probably just how she talks. It's probably just her normal, everyday way she expresses herself. So I think it might have been in the meeting. I'm not sure if that was like out in the public. So behind closed doors, you're in the meeting, you talk pretty much however you want to talk, cussing and using all kind of foul language.
I just find it really interesting because we have in my city a local city council member who's in federal prison right now, and they were in a meeting and she was talking to the mayor, telling him to stop white-splaining to her.
That's so silly.
Yeah.
White-splain.
I mean, right. I just don't. It's like I want people to be real, but then again, it's like, well, no. I mean, I think she needs to be real. She obviously fooled some people to get into her position, and then she got an inch, and now she's taken a mile.
That's right.
So, but I just think we might want to be, just a little careful of the whole just follow the rules thing right now in this time, and towing the line of being bossy when it comes to telling other people how to behave. I mean, she's offensive all the way around. But I feel like a lot of people are so sensitive right now about just everything. The best example would be we make fun of the left for being so hurt over what Donald Trump would say. As we don't want to be like that, like them, is what I guess I'm saying.
Right, I got you.
So that was all. I totally misunderstood the whole hash thing. I heard that Lori Lightfoot flew to another country and got caught with hash on her. I'm like, what is going on?
No.
So, okay, well, thank you for straightening that up. But we still aren't really lax on the weed laws. I just wonder if we've put too many people in jail for drugs that now we've got a one big giant nursing home full of old drug dealers, and there's no room to put the dangerous people.
I think now people don't go to jail for drugs. You can pretty much do whatever you want, depending upon where you are, and that's a problem. We've gone too far in the other direction. You can go into Walgreens and rob it, and it's not a problem.
That's exactly what I was kind of thinking. Like, we have too many rules. You can't enforce that.
You got too few. You have rules that should be enforced that aren't enforced. Now we're going too far the other direction.
Yeah, like dangerous drivers. It's starting to seem like it's nationwide with people just recklessly driving because cops don't want to pull them over because then it turns into racial profiling.
Mm-hmm.
And the people that are getting hit and killed by these cars are the same people that complained about the racial profiling. I mean, they've got to wake up and see this eventually, right?
Yeah, they should.
I mean, it's like I don't know, if the left is like, if they would get a black SCOTUS, then they're going to just lock up all the white people. I don't, yeah.
Oh, boy.
But all right, well, I'm glad we could clarify a few things there.
Thank you for the call. I appreciate you.
Thank you. You have a good night.
Wow, you guys are hilarious. Let's get to some more here. The number to call, 434-658-1220. Again, 434-658-1220. 773 on the line. Who am I speaking to?
Hi, ABL. This is Angela from Chicago. How are you tonight?
I'm well. About yourself?
Pretty good. I wanted to talk to you about the side effects of the vaccine. You said a few things on there that really bothered me because of an incident that I had. I was trying to save my eggs. I was trying to freeze them, and I was vaccine hesitant. I am not vaccinated. And I was asking the doctor, like, hey, can you give me a whole a non-political spiel about the vaccine? And it's weird. Like, when he was talking to me about the vaccine, he kind of turned away. Now, this is a fertility doctor. And he kind of turned away from me. You know, kind of like when you confront someone and you know that they lying and they know that, you know, both of you guys know that they're lying. They know they're wrong. Just kind of turned away from me and just said that the vaccine was safe and effective. And he also told me, he said, if you're going to save your eggs, make sure you take the vaccine before you save your eggs. And it really bothered me when I thought back on that because, you know, the side effects being neonatal death, low birth weight, stillbirth, that's scary. So, like, why would you tell someone something like this knowing that all of these things can happen to somebody? Like, what's wrong with you? That's extremely evil. And I was wondering, like, what's your take on this? What do you think was the purpose of introducing this vaccine into the world's population?
Well, I think there's a few things going on. I think one of the things was people were afraid. People were afraid of this virus, and they wanted something that they could feel like, okay, now I'm safe. Although it's clearly not necessarily safe, but they wanted something to feel like they were safe. So that's part of it. And then also you got money involved. Okay, you got this new technology, and you're able to patent it. A lot of the things that are out there, a lot of the therapeutics, like their hydroxychloroquine, ivermectin, these things have already been out for a long time. Therefore, you can't patent them anymore. They can be generic. So you can go to Mexico and go to the airport and get it over the counter for next to no money. Whereas Pfizer is able to basically print money from the federal government by this brand new thing they got out there. So at a certain point, it's about money being exchanged. That's really what it boils down to: money and power control.
Now, do you think that there's any validity to the controlling the world population? Like, you know, let's just say I took this shot and then I come out with like some weird eggs, or I just keep having all these stillbirths. Do you think things like that are on purpose? Because it's something that just from the way that doctor was sitting, it's something just tells me he had to have known something was wrong with this vaccine.
Well, I don't know about the population control thing. I think there's other things that they do to control the population in America, especially, and definitely in the West. Abortion is the chief one. Then you have a lot of the things they put in the food. We already got a low birth rate as it is in America. We talking about like American born, like non-foreigners, is already below replacement. I think for black women it's like 1.9 and white women it's like 1.5, 1.6, but you need 2.1 in the West to have replacement. Now, that's why they're bringing in so many illegal aliens or just immigrants in general, because they got a much higher birth rate. Mexicans got like a 3 or 4 birth rate. So they produce much higher than natural born Americans because they don't face the same kind of things that we do in America that makes the low birth rate happen. and different culture as well. So that's part of it right there. But the vaccine, I don't think is for that purpose because they already got that under control anyway, as far as reducing population in America. They already have that on lock as it is.
Okay, sweet. Another thing I wanted to talk to you about was I'm trying to make it real quick. The super immunity isn't real. I think he was talking about that with one of the other callers. I looked at both of those infamous interviews with Joe Rogan, the Dr. McCullough and Dr. Malone, and he was saying the same thing. The super immunity was not real, and in fact, if you get COVID and then you take the shot, you're actually much worse off because Dr. Malone had the virus and then got the shot, and he said his hypertension went through the roof. Like, it's like you could suffer some really nasty effects. So for anybody out there considering taking the virus, I would recommend looking at that podcast. And he was one of the creators of the mRNA vaccine. So if you have it, stay with them antibodies. Don't get that vaccine. He said it can actually be worse. And I think that guy knows what he's talking about. That's why everybody, jumping on Rogan like they are. But that's all I have to say, man. Thank you so much for the call. I just want to also say that Streets of Rage Double Dragon comment was so funny that I was like, that has to be like a early 80s, mid 80s kid, somebody who came up in the 90s, because I would have never thought of that. But when I saw her here, I just started rolling, thinking about that side scroll. Me and my brother always used to play that game when I was a kid. So, yeah, thank you so much, man. Love your content, and you have a great night.
Thank you for the call. I appreciate you.
All right, bye-bye.
Yeah, definitely right. 1984, so mid 80s. Grew up as a little kid, like late 80s and throughout the 90s. That's my time. By like 98, I was like already in high school. So yeah, that was my wave. The Sega Genesis, Super Nintendo, the original NES. That's my era. So yeah, shout out to Streets of Rage. Oh, that was a great game too. You could fight, pick up the knife and all that. Loved it. All right, let's go to the next one here. Let's go to 760. You're on the line. Who am I speaking to?
This is Matthias. Hey, ABL. I just had a couple of things I want to talk about. I live in California, and in the past year, gas has gone up by almost double. It used to be $3 when Trump was president. Now it's almost $6 a gallon. Crime has gone up a whole lot in the last year. My dirt bike was stolen. My dad's truck has been stolen and burnt. There's a lot of issues going on in California. That's why I'm leaving, coming next month. I just had one question, though, for you. If you were president, what would you do to reinstate all the things that Trump did and get rid of all the issues and problems Biden has put on this country, like the gas increase, the increase in gas prices and the border and everything like that?
Okay, now as far as the border, the wall was already being built when Biden came in. So if you would just left it alone and let it get built, it would have been no problem. The money was set aside. Everything was right there. So the border wall would need that. You got to have also border agents that are allowed to deport. So they got to be to do their job, and they need the tools to do their job. One of the tools would be the wall. So I do that straight away. Also, we're talking about gas prices. I let Keystone XL go through, and I wouldn't have given, because see, the thing about there's been things that have already been done that can't necessarily be undone. You see, like you might be able to undo it, but it'd be hard. What should have happened was you don't let Russia get Nord Stream 2. We greenlighted that from NATO perspective. So we let them have Nord Stream 2. That became a bargaining chip. Now they want to try to take it back, but it's already pretty much out there. They're going to get Nord Stream 2 when Ukraine was pretty much done. And about a year later, they'll turn it back on. So they wouldn't have had that. And then I produce more here domestically. I drill more. I have more pipelines here in America rather than relying upon foreign oil. More a domestic production. So, and also as far as crimes, that's more of a state issue. But I'm not sure what I could do beyond that. I think those are a few things I do right there. The wall, more domestic production. That's the main thing.
I got one more question for you, and then I'll let you go.
All right.
How do the next election will go? Do you think Biden will win again? Do you think Kamala will run for office? Do you think Trump might win again? Win? Do you think they might rig the election again? I mean, what are your thoughts on that?
I think Kamala and Biden are both done. They have very low approval ratings right now. They're not going to be able to succeed coming up. And then Biden is old as dirt. He's about to be 80 years old, so he's not going to be able to run again. Kamala's done as well. She's the dumbest box of rocks. The same as Joe Biden and Kamala are pretty much the same at this point. And so I'm not sure if Trump's going to run again. He may run again if he feels up to it. If he ran, I think he would still win. It'd be hard for him to win because of all of what the media have done against him as far as his image. A lot of these normies out here still think he's like the worst guy in the world, and they think that Joe Biden is better because of the media programming. He's clearly not better than Trump, but they think that way because of the media programming. So I think that Trump could win if he ran, but it might be someone else that runs in his place. But we'll see.
I have one last thing to say. When the election was going on 2 years ago, all of every leftist ad I saw, everything was blue. And I think what they were trying to do was, like, when there was drive-in movie theaters, they would put like microsecond images of like popcorn and soda and stuff so that our brains would tell us to buy the items from, like the counter. I think that they tried to do that on the people. They were putting everything with blue, and I never saw any red. It's I don't know. It might be a conspiracy theory, but I think everything from the media all the way up to the government is all corrupt. And I think we need to get all of them taken out and re-elect people. But thank you, ABL, for your time. Have a good night, man.
Thank you for the call, man. Definitely appreciate it.
All right. Bye.
Shout out to the caller. I believe him. I think that the mainstream media is not the only arm of the Democratic Party. They're in a lot of different places. Like, you see movies nowadays. Like, I want to see the Batman movie, but I'm afraid because I don't want to see no woke Batman movie. I want to see a good movie. I don't want to see all this extra stuff they want to put in there. Netflix is full of it. It's chock full of propaganda that kind of gets you leaning toward the left to the point where you watch enough of it, you be all the way over the left. You be on the ground rolling around on the left if you let it consume you like that. But let's keep on going here. The number to call is 434-658-1220. Let's get to a few more. So let's go 205 on the line. Who am I speaking to?
Hello.
Yes.
ABL.
Yes.
Hey, ABL, man. I talked to you back in November on IG, and I kind of had told you how even before this Russia-Ukraine thing, not trying to be like a, how you say it, negative person, but I think that all our patriots and conservatives, we need to have a backup plan if things go far left for as a country to where we don't make it to 2024. I've had a strong belief that Biden and Kamala is so incompetent that even if Trump or either Ron DeSantis or any of them get in 2024, I feel like the damage is going to be irreversible to where that Trump or anyone not going to be able to fix it. In this Russia-Ukraine thing, we're going down a deep rabbit hole that's beyond what's being shown right now. And I can explain. For one, I feel like the world is playing this Zelensky guy as like some sort of hero. And, what he's doing is heroic for the Ukraine people, but it's like what you said on your video. It's like at this point, it's already a losing battle. They should have went ahead and seceded because at the end of the day, they're not going to be able to beat Russia. At this point, just lives are being lost for no reason at all. So I think what's going to end up happening, they're painting the Zelensky guy as some sort of heroic hero. When and if this guy gets killed, it's going to shock the whole world and NATO to where they're going to make the wrong move and we're going to be forced into this conflict, let alone Taiwan and China. That's still pending right now as we speak. And I think that we're going to make a very big mistake for us, these sanctions that we put on Russia. It's going to end up backfiring on us, especially for the U.S. dollar, because if we end up taking away Russia from the SWIFT system, what's going to end up happening? Russia is already, I think, what is the second producer of oil or something like that. I know Europe is very dependent on them. Saudi Arabia is number one, I believe. So if we end up taking Russia off the SWIFT system, Europe is still going to need that oil from somewhere, and Saudi Arabia is not going to be able to supply all of Europe in the United States. So if we end up taking Russia off the SWIFT, Russia may, and I heard that Russia can still do business without SWIFT. It just may take a little bit longer, but they're not like completely out of the market for us doing business with other countries. Russia may end up backfiring on us and say, all right, Europe or everyone else in the world, y'all still need our oil at the end of the day. So how about this? We're no longer going to accept the U.S. dollar. We're going to accept it in a different currency. And at that point, Europe, they're going to either suffer a big collapse like what's going on with the gas prices in the Netherlands, like you said, $11 a gallon. It's going to get so out of control that the people are going to end up drowning. They're not going to be able to afford it. So at some point, Europe or NATO is going to have to obviously turn their backs on maybe on the United States. They're going to need this oil. And if Russia say, hey, you know what, we're not going to accept no more U.S. dollar, Russia therefore is going to cause the demand for the U.S. dollar to collapse. Therefore, the currency is going to be worthless because, like right now, the dollar is in huge demand because it's being exchanged everywhere. But like I said, Europe, Russia is still the second producer of oil, so they can still have a say in this market. So I think these sanctions that we put on Russia, it's going to ultimately hurt us in the long run here. And ultimately, we are going to get involved in a conflict one way or another. But what are your thoughts on that?
I mean, that's a really good point. That's a very good point. There was a lot said there, too. I don't know that NATO does what you think they could do because I think they know what you're saying is true. So if they do that, now being a whole different thing. That's why they don't want to get involved right now. You see, that's why, because they could easily just go over there. They right there in Poland. Okay, we're right there in Poland too. U.S. we're right there. We could just go over the border, but we don't want to do that because we know crossing that boundary would cause a very serious problem. The problem that
direct conflict.
Yep. Direct conflict, exactly. That'd be more damaging than anything else. So it wouldn't make any sense. And the same thing would be the case if they kill Zelensky. It'd be the same thing.
Yeah. Well, at the end of the day, you would think that our leaders may know this. Like someone like Trump will understand, okay, these sanctions is going to collapse the dollar. Trump is a businessman. But when you look at Biden, he's a 40, 50-year politician. This man is predictable. That's why Russia decided to do this now, because they can study Biden and see how his policy was for the past 40 years and can predict what his next move is. Okay, if we do this, Biden's going to put these sanctions. Trump is unpredictable because he's not a politician, so they don't know what direction this man goes. That's why I feel like a lot of countries were kind of chill about doing certain things. So you would think that these long-term politicians would know what's up, but look how much debt we in because of their stupid decisions. So they may not be thinking, like in the long term, they may be thinking, this is not even long term. This could happen within 6 months if they started taking Russia away from the SWIFT system, and then the demand for the dollar collapses because we're already the debt. We can't even pay the debt back at this point. So we're already inflated for that. And then if they decrease the demand, it's going to have huge consequences. Then we may end up losing the reserve currency. So, and at that point, the U.S. ain't going to have much power left at all economically. And we're certainly outnumbered for as with troops and the army and stuff. So I just say this. I'm gonna leave it with this. I just really, really feel a lot of people have been saying too with biblical prophecy that it talks about modern day Babylon being destroyed by fire, and the description of it describes America. Actually, it describes it surrounded by waters like where we are now, and it describes how we kind of on the same path where what happened with the Roman Empire. Every great empire has to collapse at some point. So I really think that everyone needs to start stocking up on food, water, and start having different residencies in maybe like different areas where it's not relying on the United States, maybe some Virgin Islands or something, or South America, something like that. So I really think that everyone needs to have in the back of their head that the worst case scenario could play out, and we need to be prepared for the worst. So I'm going to leave that with that, but I appreciate you, ABL, for having me on.
Thank you for the call, man. Definitely appreciate you.
All right. Take it easy.
Very good call. Very, very good call. I like that. Shout out to my man for the call. You guys have been great tonight. I thank y'all for being here. I definitely couldn't do it without y'all. Let's get to a few more. And let's go to... Are you online? Speaker 2757.
Hey, how you doing, Anthony?
It's all good. What's happening?
Let me do the routine and mute the TV real quick.
All righty.
All right. It's Richard from Virginia Beach. I'm the guy who was talking to you about the double dragon in Norfolk.
Did you already call in earlier today?
Yeah. Huh? The lady that called earlier?
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, I heard her earlier.
Oh, okay.
She was talking about the Streets of Rage and all that.
Hilarious.
I was joking, too. I think I started something on your channel for the double dragon.
Oh, okay.
I was going to say, you had some interesting callers today. I was going to bring up something, because everyone's talking about the vaccine, and me and you talked about the flu. Like, everyone that catches the flu gets the vaccine of the flu, and then they end up getting the flu again. And I was thinking about, remember when they had, there's a thing called MRSA, and MRSA is a super bacteria. And before MRSA was a super bacteria, it was a normal bacteria. So scientists started messing with it, and they were testing it, and they were seeing what they could do to whatever they were doing it. And it became a super bacteria, MRSA. So MRSA, there's only 4 or 5 antibiotics that can kill MRSA because it's a bacteria. It's not a virus. And what I see is people taking this vaccine, and it's not doing anything but making the flu a super flu, or making the COVID a super COVID.
That makes sense. Yeah.
Right. And, if you ever meet anyone and they say, oh, you got MRSA, that's disgusting. I mean, you're not going to, people randomly could get anything. And I've caught it before, MRSA, and it was horrible. It was very horrible. But it's a bacteria. It will go away. But there's only, like I said, 4 antibiotics to cure MRSA. I was allergic to 2. So, what I'm saying is, I think this COVID thing is just, like you said earlier, it's just money and power and all that. It's just some made up stuff to put people in fear, like you said, and it's poisoning people. And I feel bad for the elderly people. I really do. My heart goes out for them because they're trying to do what's right, for them and their families and everything. And I feel bad. Like, my family's taking the shot, and, they're saying my dad right now has a blood clot. He went in this week, and you said that's one of the things on the list.
It is.
Yeah. So.
Well, thank you for the call, man. I definitely appreciate you.
Oh, okay. You're welcome, Anthony.
All right, now.
All right.
All right, shout out to the caller. But yeah, I mean, a lot of these viruses running around, science, people just say, trust the science. That's the worst thing I've ever heard is trust the science. Science, you can't just trust it because it's an ongoing thing. That's, you're always trying to figure things out. you never totally settle on the science. What they say, the science, you're not totally settled on it. 929, you're on the line. Who am I speaking to? Hello, 929. Going once, going twice. All righty, 929. I'm not sure what happened, but you got to have your ear to the phone because there is a delay. So you can't try to watch the stream at the same time when you are calling. It won't work. 215 on the line. Who am I speaking to?
Hello?
Yes, 215.
Hi, how's it going? ABL, how's everything tonight?
Everything's all right, man. Can't complain too much.
Yes, yes. I wanted to talk to you about basically, one thing I've noticed over a while, now that the COVID conversation is slowly starting to die out, especially with these vaccine talks, right? The talk of the vaccine, I've noticed I haven't heard about the vaccine in a while besides coming from you. Like, I haven't heard vaccines coming from mainstream media. It's like the vaccines are completely irrelevant now. What's your thoughts on that?
I mean, I feel like what's happening right now is people are starting to move on. They've gotten tired of it. They're over it. And people sometimes already got one vax, two vax, but they don't want to keep going back and back and back and taking more shots and more pills. They're done. They want to get on with a normal life. And they see that people around the country and around the world are doing it. So they're going to pretty much join it. People are done with it.
Yeah, that's what I figured. It's kind of seemed like that because I know there's this one vaccine station at the mall. It used to be packed with cars, but now when I go around it, it's just dead. It's been dead for a few weeks now, and it's been like that for a few months, just completely dead.
Yeah, it's pretty much over with. Nobody's really worried about that anymore. We're moving on with our lives. So yeah, and people aren't as afraid anymore because they see that they're starting to kind of wake up too. They're starting to see that it's kind of like not what they told. It's not what they were told that it was.
Yeah. I remember there's one guy who tried to come up to me about a mask and all that. It's rare. It's extremely rare I have somebody come up to me about a mask now. It's just really rare because before at the beginning of this, during the summer of 2020, I had people come up to me constantly about the mask. I would just tell them straight up, if I'm out on the street, if you don't like it, just stay away from me. I'm not going to argue with you about it. There's nothing to talk about. I'm not putting it on. If you don't like it, move away. Or when they would refer to me to put a mask on, I would just shake my head no and keep walking. And they would know not to even say nothing to me. Because it's like when you say somebody to a particular way, it's like they instantly know, okay, nope, I'm not going to bother this person.
Right.
But really what happened was I had one guy try to debate to me about a mask. Of course, he comes up to me and takes his mask off to talk to me. I called him out on that instantly. I said, okay, I love how you come in and talk to me about a mask and protecting other people's health, but you're taking your mask off. I said, yeah, that's a good way to start the conversation. But I said, continue, Second of all, what did he say? Oh, yeah, here's what I really hit him with. I said to him, he told me, you have to put the mask on to protect other people's health. I said, well, I can't protect people from something that I don't have. I can't get nobody in sick with something I don't have. I said something like that. Then he says, but you might have it and not know you have it. I said, trust me, nobody's immune from a cold because that's what the doctor says. It's another cold, a flu. Nobody's immune from it. I told him that. Right. And he really didn't have much of a defense anymore.
No, I mean, and at a certain point, that's going to be kind of normal. People are just going to accept that this ain't what we were told it was, and they have to move on. They're going to have to move on. They can't just stay right here in this ridiculous state of fear.
Yeah, because it's like in most mask mandates, I've noticed that I'm in Pennsylvania, right? Near the tri-state area, close to Philadelphia. A lot of places, even the places who began to enforce the mask mandate, it's like less than a year. This was the beginning of 2020. But once 2021 hit, it's like they stopped enforcing the mask. They don't care anymore. They just didn't care anymore. They weren't all strict like New York. They didn't want a vaccine mandate and all that kind of stuff. They just didn't care anymore. They were like, all right, we don't care if you wear a mask or not. Right on, but I think that's just most places. And yeah, like you said, most people are getting back to normal at this point. And it's just, most people who do it, it's just out of control at this point. They just want to control everybody else.
Right on, man. Well, thank you for the call. I definitely appreciate you.
No problem. Have a good one, ABL.
Same to you. All right, let's get to. I got time for one more, maybe. Let's do one more. 815. 815. You don't mind one speaker too.
Hey, did I just cough in your ear?
Yeah, it's all right, man. It happens to the best of us. We're all human. What's happening?
Not much. I guess since I was coughing, I'll start with that. Like, I agree. Like, every country has their own, rules and the right to determine their own rules and whatnot. But I feel bad for that basketball player who, I don't know, faces up to 10 years in Russian whatever for that. I mean, like, I kind of think it's not the same. It's like not apples to apples, but like, remember ASAP Rocky? And like, now granted, like, they were provoking him, and I feel like that was a crime almost. But I mean, he did assault somebody, and like, I'm glad that like we did something to like get him back out. So I hope like our embassy. I don't think Russia's like primary concern is this basketball player, but you know what I mean. Hope you can get her back.
That story's been overhyped because it's Russia. That's all. So the news headline is basically saying Vladimir Putin locks up America, and it's like, man, come on. Like, people go to jail every single day in America. Russia, it's not really that big of a deal, but because of what's happening right now, it is a big deal.
Yeah, for sure. And I guess, okay, like, just really quick, like, I guess I just talk, because I just listened to the entire like Putin speech, like a full hour of it or whatever. So I guess that's fresh in my mind, and like I thought it was interesting. Like he like made some like claim that like Ukraine was like a Bolshevik country or something. I don't know anything about the history, but I don't know, whatever. But like you think that like NATO expanding or whatever, supposedly eastward, and not listening to Russia's concerns about their security is just sort of an excuse or a legitimate concern. Like if they had like, missile systems lined up on the Canadian border, like, I'm not trying to like be like pro Putin. I'm just saying like, is this a legitimate concern?
I mean, I think it is a legitimate concern for Russia. Now, I'm not saying that I'm going to go out there and help Russia to do this, but I think it's more about Russia and their own issues, and they're dealing with it the best way they can. And that's their business, the same way as Ukraine's business, how they're going to be able to deal with it. I think it's legitimate, especially since Ukraine, they're like being funded by outside people to ultimately fight against Russia. And the conflict is really, in my opinion, kind of a proxy war between NATO and Russia. Rather than NATO fighting Russia directly, they're going to use Ukraine. They're going to arm Ukraine to fight Russia for them.
Exactly. And like, yeah, and like all of a sudden it's just like I don't know anything about Ukraine, and like all of a sudden now, like obviously you got to think about it like there's people, the people are people no matter where they're at, I guess. So we should care about people, but like they're kind of like a corrupt country, aren't they? And like a lot of deep state shenanigans, and like I don't know, it's just like all of a sudden we were supposed to like pretend like they're like some shining beacon of democracy while like ignoring like like what happened in Canada, and that kind of stuff just like annoys me.
Yeah, I'm not sure about how corrupt they are, but I know that no country is without corruption. But I do know that they're being used. They're like a pawn in the game.
Right. Going back to weed, I guess, for a second, it's funny because like they're all about green energy, and I was just sort of like trolling like the Illinois like weed subreddit thing, and I'm like, if you really care about green energy, you would advocate for outdoor growing and want the government to ban indoor growing. Do you think that was a good troll?
That's pretty funny.
Anyway, yeah, they didn't agree. Anyway. So, and I'm kind of torn on the whole like the refugee guy. Like, I kind of get it from both sides, so.
Right on, man.
Because like, if they kind of like made a home for the guy, like, you would think like maybe if like, say like, we have, immigrants that come in, a lot of them illegally, maybe if you were attacked by some foreign country, like maybe we could like unite, around defending America, and like it would kind of like aggravate us kind of, wouldn't it, if like some like illegal immigrants were like, yeah, I'm going back down to South America.
I mean, that's their business. Like, at the end of the day, we can't, if we want people to come into the country as refugees in a humanitarian effort, and we want them to fight for us, we gotta say that. We can't just say, oh, well, you can come over here to escape that conflict, but if we get into a conflict, you gotta fight in our conflict. That wouldn't make any sense. You wouldn't expect them to fight in the conflict if they didn't fight in the conflict they had that they're leaving. So
that's sort of like a quid pro quo.
I mean, if it's like that, then say that. But for people to think that would be the case doesn't make any sense. If they fled conflict in their country, why would they go to a new place and fight in their conflict? It makes no sense. You want to go to a place without conflict if you're a refugee fleeing conflict. It's just logic. But thank you for the call, man. Definitely appreciate you.
All right, have a good weekend. Thanks, Adele.
All right, thank you, man. Appreciate you. All right, that'll be a wrap for me. We're past 11 o'clock. Thank you all for being here. You guys are the best audience anywhere on the internet. Thank you for coming on through. I will be back again live on Wednesday of next week, of course. Excuse me. And you guys are the best audience anywhere on the net. If you didn't know that, now you know. You're the best. All right, I got a few super chats on deck. And then I wrap it on up, put the Brooklyn on top. Shout out to all the mods. If you were here tonight, thank you for keeping the Trojan in check, I suppose. Super chats on deck, and then I'm out. Let me see. Thank you to Pamela White, who says, you are refreshing. Keep up. Great investigation. I support you. Trucker Serious, Nonviolence MAGA. Brandon Harris, listen carefully to them. We've got problems. Thanks for ABL. Thank you for that. Thank you to Black Tiger Paul 1, who says, gas is $8 a gallon in Vancouver, Canada. Good grief. How can you afford to live? That's Law Atman Carey says, hashtag keep fighting. Pamela White also says, Trump for Speaker of the House. He can finally drain the swamp. Thank you to Frank Rizzo, who says, Moderna COVID DNA. Thank you to Wild and Wonderful Views by Tom, who says, there's a video while Trump was president. It showed him warning Germany about getting gas from Russia, and Germany just laughed at him. And now they get 65% of gas from Russia. Who's laughing now? Exactly. He saw what was going on. He saw it, but maybe they didn't really care. Maybe they understood this was going to happen at the end of it, that Ukraine would get invaded, and it filled their purposes. I'm not really sure what they thought, but he told them what was going on. Anybody could see it, but again, there's other things happening that we may not know about. Thank you to Bo vs. Windshield, who says, remember Neville Chamberlain? He let the funny mustache guy take Poland. Hitler said, I already said it now anyway. Hitler said it was for his country's defense. It was a horrible plan. Churchill took over. Thank you to Rita Schaefer for your Get Good emoji donation. Thank you to Tanisha Williams, who says, the WNBA player that got arrested for drugs broke the law. She's no person that the USA needs to step up for and fight for. Just because the USA allows everything doesn't mean other countries have to. Exactly. It's like you have laws in a certain place. If you break the law, you're facing the consequences. It is what it is. People could say that it shouldn't be a law, but go to Russia and tell them how to run their country. You know, when you're traveling internationally, you got to study about where you are. You want to go to Dubai and call yourself wearing booty shorts, good luck not going to the penitentiary. If you do that, you will get locked up for that. That's called indecent exposure over there, or their equivalent to indecent exposure. Okay, put this headscarf and stuff on and dress modestly, or you going to the jail. Oh yeah, that's how it is over there. And if you don't like that, then don't go. Simple. Thank you to Kim Macalati for your emoji donation. What's that, like a bed of roses? I appreciate you for that. Thank you to Kulix, who says, stop rambling. What's in my super chat? Thank you to, I can't read this one. It's a bunch of K's and L's and I's, who says, why do Democrats keep pushing that conservatives are killing democracy? We are not, they are. It's projection. And to say, hey, yeah, they're doing it. It's projection and misdirection to say, hey, they're doing it. Meanwhile, they are the ones that are actually doing it. Thank you to FA Ranger Xbox, who says, never take experimental gene therapy from people who have been saying that the world is overpopulated for years. Thank you to Tam for the donation. Thank you to, for coming a new member. Thank you for that, Tam. Thank you to Pamela White, who says, if you were president, what would you do with the trillions of debt we owe to China, Saudis, Russia? Just asking. If I had to answer, I'd be the president. I have no idea what you do with that. You can start by not piling on to it with all this printing and spending we're doing. It's to the point now where we can't pay it. I'm not sure how we're going to pay that back. 30 trillion in debt. I mean, come on. That's crazy. Thank you to Stephanie, who says Trump told Putin if we moved on from Ukraine, then we would attack. Then he would attack Moscow, and that's how you handle a bullet. You fight fire with dynamite. I miss Trump. F Ranger Xbox says Putin won a Nobel Prize in medicine. He single-handedly shut down the virus, the scamdemic. Thank you to Frank, who says, I wonder, with all these people who can't wait to the biblical prophecy to destroy the U.S., what will these haters of the U.S. do then? Thank you to Tam, who says, have a good night. Thank you for that. Thank you to Bugs Bunny, who says, instead of sending machine guns to Ukraine, we should send jobs. They need jobs. Well, that'd be something, wouldn't it? If we could just export jobs, like we could export Chinese cell phones or something, that'd be great. But thank you all for being here. Definitely appreciate you. I'll be back live again on Wednesday. And until next time, hold on. Until next time, y'all be safe. I'm out. And peace.